You are now listening to the Peter and Jake Talks Wrasslin podcast, a weekly review of Monday Night Raw and other wrestling-related topics. And here's your hosts, Peter Day and Jake Grundy.
Buddy.
What's up?
What's up, Buddha Monks in the trunk.
Turn the bass up.
What up, motherfuckers? It is episode 86.
There we go. Hell yeah.
Episode 86.
A big one.
I just checked it. Yeah, I know. It's like 86 billion is what this is. Like, my God, we got to cover so much stuff today for the episode 86 of the Peter and Jake Talks Wrasslin podcast. You're watching on YouTube? Awesome. If you're listening on SoundCloud, iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, you fucking rule. If you haven't already, throw us in your subscription. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscription button below. You can find me at PJTW Central. You can find him at JG Pro Wrestling. Let's go ahead and get this shit out of the way. What you got going on with your podcast and whatnot?
Well, we put up a special one on Friday night for the NXT Takeover Dallas. What a great show, I thought. And then we're gonna put one up tomorrow morning for the episode coming out. We keep it moving at Faster Than the World. It's Faster Than the World. SoundCloud.com/JGProWrestling or GorillaPressOnline.com. You can check.
And also, you with the legal man, Mark Charles?
Well, he jumped to the AM. He's on like radio doing his thing.
Oh,
so
wow! Congratulations to Mark Charles, man. That's pretty dope, dude.
Yeah. So it's just kind of him now. You could call in, but no official segments.
Are you still at some capacity involved?
Sometimes he's actually just once he's hit me up and been like, make sure to call in, and I would call in. We just kind of did the usual chatter, but no, he's just off on his own. I know he was competing with I think it was he's some big names down there to get this wrestling show on the because he's always worked for this radio station. But I think people moved around, some people moved up and everything, so he got the show. He's on a sports talk channel,
nice,
in Florida, right there next to NXT and TNA and everything. So it's perfect town to be in.
So a lot to cover, man. From NXT Takeover, Wrestlemania.
Yeah, I'm gonna get myself suited up. I'm gonna take my sweatshirt off.
You take your sweatshirt off?
Oh yeah, cold day today.
You can't do that. What? You got to get off camera to do that?
Oh, just standing up.
But some of your belly show. The ladies, we know we got some ladies watching.
I got my Mick Foley on.
I know, right? Jesus Christ. I got to see that by myself, girl, so maybe next time we can get you on the podcast. Next time you undresses, you can be here in the vicinity. Or I'll actually have him just do it in front of the camera next time. So before we go into all of this crazy weekend of wrestling.
Yeah, it was amazing.
The big news in wrestling and all that shit and everything that went down. We have to address something. But before, best and worst. Best, I would just say overall weekend. I enjoyed a lot of television, a lot of wrestling. It was a lot of fucking wrestling. But just everything surrounded by it, I thought it was really awesome. Worst, buzzer beater, fucking Villanova beats my goddamn UNC Chapel Hill Tar Heels. I mean, it was that last sequence, the last 14 seconds, some of the best basketball you ever see. Marcus Page hits a crazy double clutch three-pointer that goes in. Miracle. Michael Jordan's on the fourth row losing his shit. He doesn't lose his shit for nothing. He's going nuts. Come down. Their fucking guy. He's the trailer. He gets the ball. He hits it right at the buzzer. Fucking, we go down in flames. And Villanova beats the Tar Heels to become the 2015-16 men's basketball college champions. What's yours, buddy?
I'd say best. I'd say definitely NXT Takeover. I would say is my best. They definitely stood out to me in the weekend. I watched the WWN Super Show with Ibushi and the Six Man and everything with a Terry Funk tribute. That was great. Raw was great. Mania was great. I thought.
Eva Mania was great. Eva Mania.
We'll talk about it.
Shouts to Jay and Keita. Y'all got one coming. Y'all got one coming this weekend. Okay.
Well, there you go. Well, yeah, the whole thing was great. So, but like I would say, NXT stood out. Worse, I just found out Merle Haggard died. I guess since you already mentioned the Tar Heels, I would say that I'll just say that just because as a not necessarily a default worse, but because I mean that hit me pretty hard. I can't think of anything really bad that happened.
It's fucking Merle Haggard. It's no different than my Fife Dog going down in flames. You know what I'm saying? If you grew up listening to that and that sort of part of your growing up and just sort of your music taste, it helped you become a tastemaker in who you are in music, you know, into your fashion, until like what do you get into? So yeah, I just saw that like maybe 2 hours ago.
Yeah, it's a bummer, yeah. And it was his birthday today, so happy birthday too.
He died on his birthday.
That's from what I saw on the Twitter. Yeah.
Damn, that sounds like a goddamn song.
Yeah, he needs to write it.
He needs to write it. He's gonna write it from the fucking grave.
There we go.
And the most important thing before we get into all this craziness, we forgot the most important thing last week.
Yeah, the number one.
Yeah, we built up all this fucking gimmick for no payoff.
Well, that will do it on the review show, I guess.
So, what is yours? Or you want me to go first?
You can go. You can go first, sure.
WrestleMania 7, Macho King versus the Ultimate Warrior. Retirement match. Loser goes home. The match itself wasn't a piece of work. It was the Ultimate Warrior, but the story that was being told, Sister Sherry at the time, not Sister Sherry, she was
Sherry Martel. Right?
Fabulous Sherry, and Macho King, and the storyline between Elizabeth and Macho Man and Sherry. She's in the crowd. Very emotional. I think you can look at any wrestling storyline that's ever existed, and the stakes versus the gimmick of Elizabeth and what was to happen to Macho Man or Ultimate Warrior. The stakes was high. When Macho King lost, Sherry turns on him. Elizabeth comes out. You know, she can't fight. She's not a fighter, but she goes out there to a proven wrestling fighter. And no matter what, how big and bad and strong, the power of love will get your confidence up and take out anything in your way. And then that moment, and it's not even a wrestling match, it's just that moment where, like, she's there, like, take me back. And he's standing there like, you know, he's being Macho Man. He points at her and stuff. Mm-hmm. And the crowd is like, take her back, man. Take her back, man. And he's standing there. And then he just drops to a knee. Place goes crazy. Picks her up, puts her on the shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Probably one of the greatest moments, if not the greatest moment in wrestling history is to see Macho Man take Elizabeth back and put him on his shoulder, and they shot the crowd. You see the person with the glasses crying. You see like this lady like losing her shit. I think even like Bobby the Brain Heenan, he's trying to be healed, but he can't. You know, you got Gorilla Monsoon choking up. I choke up just thinking about it because it's that's the power of wrestling to a certain extent. It tells stories under a microscope. And sometimes what you see under a microscope is bigger than the others. And that was the one that looms large over who we are as people. You know, it's a story from I don't care who you are and you don't like wrestling. You watch that match, you watch the ending to that, you're going to relate. And that's the beauty of wrestling. And that is my number one WrestleMania match moment of all time.
Right,
and Macho, rest in peace, Macho Man. Rest in fucking peace.
Yeah, and
Elizabeth,
Warrior.
And Elizabeth. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is Sherry still alive?
I don't
think so. No, they're all dead. All of them are dead.
Damn.
Gorilla Monsoon still alive?
No.
So everyone.
Well, Bobby the Brain, he has had health issues, but he's still kicking. He does the Legends circuit and everything.
God, everyone in that entire match and moment dead. That's crazy. And Hulk Hogan's still kicking it. He just won 15 million?
Yeah, something like that. And they're going for around. They're trying to get him for something else, but it looks like he won on privacy issues. Yeah,
he dropped the big leg on Gawker. That's the storyline.
Mine is Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold Steve Austin with Mike Tyson as the special ring enforcer, where he was wearing the DX shirt and he went to kicking kind of. I know he made of course. Like Michaels' main event of Mania and Stone Cold main event, the one with Bret Hart before that. But I would say this one kicked off Stone Cold Steve Austin, which brought it to these stadium shows. So I would say like that, and also that's like the first Mania I really remember like sitting down and watching, getting into. So I mean, I saw ones prior, but this is the one that I kind of like, you know, knew as WrestleMania, knew was a big deal. And I just, the main event alone, I think, you know, has made what we see WrestleMania today.
Yeah.
With Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Runners up, definitely, I would say that Rock versus Hogan, WrestleMania 18, and what is it? 3. Well, 2.
Yeah.
Hogan versus Andre the Giant.
Oh yeah, that's 3. That's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's big. I mean, yeah, there's all, but yeah, this is personal. That's why I think we kept it personal, just so like the debates would keep to a minimum here. But yeah, like I would say, like those are some big ones. Yeah, the WrestleMania 7 never like kind of overlooked a little bit in history, but like that image of him holding her up,
it's the best. It's the best, and he's pointing up the finger, man. Like you, dude, it's nuts, man. When's the last time you watched that?
I think I've only seen it one time.
Really?
Yeah.
I watched it like
full match.
A couple of months ago. And when I was thinking about it, the matches themselves, I was like, wow, I forgot all about to mention this. This is like the greatest. I was glad I was able to get the other ones out of the way, but yeah, man, that's fucking nuts. So let's get into this. Let's get it. All right, because we're not gonna go. I'm not gonna do. You already did that. You already did the.
Oh, for Takeover.
Yeah, Takeover. You already done the play by play.
Yeah, let's just maybe give a few thoughts about it.
Yeah, like so the card was this: Alpha. The Alpha are your new tag team champions. They won over the Revival. Austin Aries over Baron Corbin. Nakamura, Shinsuke. The debut is Shinsuke Nakamura over Sami Zayn. We got Asuka going over Bayley, and you have Baylor retaining. Asuka actually becoming the new women's NXT champion, and Balor going over on Samoa Joe for the second time. Mm-hmm. What are things that stood out to you in this show? And is any wins and losses, you know, any outcomes that disappointed you? Was it anything that over-delivered? Was it anything in the arena, per se, that caught your attention?
Well, just overall thoughts on the show, I thought it was amazing. I mean, I would say nothing wrong with the show. Everybody, I think everyone came out in that show a bigger star. Even starting from the first match, Dash and Dawson, even losing, they were such, like, asshole heels the whole time, sneaking under the ring to break up the hot tag with Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, and then Jordan and Gable really putting on like a show. Like, I don't know if you like noticed, but it was brought to my attention that every like kind of setup they did was like to pay homage to like these WrestleMania moments. Mm-hmm. So that's really like kind of a crazy concept to do. But even before I knew that, I thought it was an amazing match with the mirror suplexes and everything. And I thought it was their time, and they couldn't be more over. Going on to Aries and Corbin, bringing down the pace, but really showing.
What are you doing? You going play by play now?
Oh no, I was just saying like my thoughts on everything. Corbin and Aries, they brought it down, but like I think that really showed like how dominant Corbin can look. And I mean, Aries getting the victory is always good. Bringing in a new star. Nakamura and Zayn's like probably one of my favorite matches like I've seen in a long, long time. Definitely the match of the weekend. I would say within any show. Perfect wrestling match.
Oh, I'll let you.
Then Asuka and Bayley. It was a good match. It was kind of probably in a hard spot, but still not a bad spot between the two, Nakamura and Zayn and Finn and Balor. So that was a great match. I think putting it on Asuka kind of wakes up the division a little bit. But I definitely want to see a rematch between her and Bayley. And then Finn and Joe was great with him bleeding and everything. I think that was amazing. And I think it woke up Joe. I think it woke up the crowd, because a lot of times we see these hot crowds die off. So something as ridiculous as him coming out with a chainsaw and then like the headbutt that made him bleed, and I think I saw it in Joe and I saw it in the crowd that it definitely, even though they had to stop the match, it woke the crowd up, and it put a story to the match, an organic story to the match, that maybe they can do another rematch now, even though he's lost twice, that you didn't have that window open before.
Wow, then you're gonna hate me. I thought it was fun. I mean, I think it was fun, if I was to look at all the takeovers that I've seen, I would rate this probably the most intense one. Like over, other ones had several gimmicks and things of that nature. Maybe characters in there that did not be taken so serious. The focus on possibly one real match. Even this, like even the off TV joints. Apollo Crews goes over Macho Man 2.
That's gonna be. I think that's on. They did tape an episode afterwards.
Yeah, and then there was another match as well, right? That didn't make the NXT taping.
I'm not sure what you're speaking of. I knew there were several matches that were supposed to be done afterwards, and then there's matches at Access.
No, but that was promoted to be Takeover.
Oh no, the only match that was promoted on Takeover was that wasn't on there was the Drifter.
Yeah, okay.
And Apollo Crews.
I call him Macho Man too, man. That guy looks like Macho Man so much.
Damien Sandow 1.5.
God, he's like Macho Sandow.
Yeah, I think they should put Damien Sandow back as the savior for the masses and have him try to clean up the Drifter, and that could be a good storyline.
If anything,
like their brothers or something.
If anything, I would match him up with the Miz. Have him clean him up. That would be funny as hell. Actually, the Revival, this tag team, one of the best time matches I've ever seen in my life. The timing was impeccable, especially that under the ring part. I was like, how did they time that? He wasn't even seen to make that work. My only peeve is the Revival rushing to the ring. I wish they would have walked slower to the ring. I know that's weird. I know that's super nitpicky. I talk about that in my review. But just to build the heat of them getting to the ring, if they would have just took their time, it would have been nice. But they just went to the motherfucking thing. I wasn't a big fan of how emotional America Alpha was. The jumping into the arms, I thought that was just a little too much. I didn't have any expectations out of Austin Aries and Baron Corbin. I didn't have any because this is, a guy, Austin Aries, who's been at it for a while, a person who I figure is still green, and Baron Corbin. People are like, oh, that's the weakest link. I go, well, not really. I didn't see maybe the weakest match, but it wasn't because it was bad. It's because I think you got two polar opposites just trying to make chicken salad, So what I saw, I appreciated. I didn't expect Aries to go over. I didn't expect that at all. I thought Corbin was going to go over. They had bigger plans from him moving forward. Zayn Nakamura, piece of artwork. I have nothing bad to say about this. I have my video of my reaction of him walking out. That's up to almost 3,000 views right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
And some conversation. Dude, everything. Bloody nose, everything was dope with this. Bayley Asuka hated the ending. It reminded me too much of John Cena. Bobby Roode in the crowd, that was a really good. That was pretty cool to see him in the crowd. Joe Balor hated that ending too. It was anticlimactic. That ending was as anticlimactic as Triple H versus Roman Reigns. I go, because of Bayley, because it's like when someone gets caught in a hold, she didn't tap out, she didn't get pinned, she didn't surrender.
Well, I think that's why. I mean, that's the rematch. That's why they set up for the rematch.
Maybe.
They did it. No, that's exactly. Come on.
I'm not saying this for you to defend it. I'm just saying in general. I know I get it, but still, I saw John Cena laid out. She didn't, because I can get a good lick on you doesn't make me better than you. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, yeah, you do get the opportunity to prove yourself. If you're going to run with Asuka, if you're going to see Asuka, if you want to see Asuka, and this is like, we can have the same, we have the same beef with the main roster. You want to put someone over, put them over. Don't half-ass it. It's not like some jabroni going over on Bayley that had the opportunity to go over. It was one of the biggest, baddest women, most intimidating forces in wrestling today, in Asuka. So just get her in a chicken wing for her to pass out, not to get a 3 count, not to get anything. It just means that she got caught in a bad spot. It doesn't mean that she was weak. And if you want to expose her to be weak, not necessarily make her look weak, but she can lose, She can lose. The gasp in that room after the guy called for the bell was amazing. Talks is, people were waiting for the Bailey comeback and all that stuff, and it never came because fucking just had her ass hemmed up. But I saw John Cena, and everybody wants to make that connection between her and being the next John Cena. I think, and even last week we had this conversation, I think she has the opportunity to be bigger than John Cena. I think she could be the biggest draw almost in wrestling. She has the opportunity, because of this gimmick that she has. But then and there was the beginning of it all. That was John Cena I saw, and the repetitiveness of the Balor Samoa Joe match, same moves. I know I saw that sling blade like 4 or 5 times. I know I saw that kick about 4 or 5 times. It was just like, come on, man, where's the creativity? You guys supposed to be like the upper echelon of independent wrestling or the super independents. And I saw a match where I saw at least 3 or 4 moves done at least 2 or 3 times. And then that sliced bread finish, whatever, that was like, I guess, Owen Hart versus, was it? Someone showed it. It was like the same finish. Bret Hart versus somebody where it was like they had him in a sleeper hold. He climbs up and gets the pin that way.
Finishes have been done before.
It was anticlimactic. And then, like, Joe just leaves. He just leaves. He's like, oh, I lost. Leave. And then, like...
Well, no, you got that shot with Finn cheering in the background with him.
He's supposed to whooped his ass. Because it wasn't like... Again, it wasn't a strong finish. It was like, okay, I caught you in a bad one. And then, like, in the shock, I felt like he should have had more shock. He should have been more angry. Because his obsession over the past couple of weeks, I'm obsessed over that thing. Apparently, the past 3 weeks, the word obsession has been one of the biggest.
Well, he didn't say it. Finn said it, and Triple H said it on Raw.
But, like, he should have been pissed off that he got one over on him. He got one over on him, and he should have beat the living shit out of him. He should have beat the shit out of him.
Well, do you think that they might have called it a little early because of the blood they kept having to stop it for?
Well, the fact that the biggest heel,
I don't know. I was just asking.
Biggest heels on the night. No, they wrestled for like 24 minutes. The biggest heels on the night were the medical. They were the biggest heels on the night. They got more heat than any heel on that fucking card. They cut him open, and it was just it was a little scar, but it hit it right, so it was kept gushing, and them basically stalling the match. He couldn't get no momentum. It was like Carolina. It was like the Panthers. Every time he tried to get a little momentum.
Sure, yeah. I think it definitely took away from the actual wrestling match, but I think we already saw enough great wrestling matches. I think to make this card stand out, you ultimately needed something like that, like some ridiculous story, like him bleeding everywhere, like the crowd booing the paramedics. But like if you watched it, it lit Joe up like in a way I've not seen in years.
He
like,
looked more frustrated than he was lit. I mean, you could see him like just
rolling
his eyes.
When he threw Finn over the railing, wiping out that security guard, and then all the moves nasty. He was doing, it was very. I mean, it reminded me of the old Joe. I have to say it. I was getting real hype. That's probably the most I marked out all weekend was when seeing Joe wrestle in this match. The parts he got to wrestle, and just like I said, one of my WrestleMania moments was when Brock Lesnar did the shooting star and messed up. It's like those little times where like. Kind of like these botches that make these stories make like the best matches sometimes. I think it was great. And I thought this was, I mean, people were complaining about that there was no sleeper match, which is I think a ridiculous fucking complaint. You're saying that there was no bad matches and that's a bad thing? Like I think you've been You've been conditioned to believe that there needs to be a bad match on a wrestling show to make it good, which is complete bullshit. All the matches were supposed to be great.
I thought that was they were saying about the Balor, not Balor. I thought that's what they were saying about Corbin, Aries.
Yeah, but I still think like second match on the show, it told a great story about Baylor or Corbin can be dominant, Aries can be a little bit tactical. I think it put both guys over the way you need to, and plus Baron Corbin going out on his back, kind of respecting NXT, and then we got to see what was going on with that. I mean, I'm not a big Baron Corbin fan, but I like how they played that. Put over the next guy in NXT so we can give you the push on the main roster.
And at the same time, they didn't have the luxury of everyone else on the card. Yeah. I think Asuka faced Bayley at the house shows. American Alpha faced Dash and Dawson on the house shows.
Sure.
Finn and Balor and Joe, they faced, this is their second major booking, so, and then them is like, bam, all right, get out there and make magic, guys. So they were almost given the opportunity to fail. You know what I'm saying? They were like, go sink or swim, and make this into something, because the rest of the card is definitely going to outweigh what you got going, but still go out there and give your best. And I saw that. Two more things I just want to say about the idea of El Generico, because I felt like Sami Zayn was El Generico this match. El Generico has his whole thing is that he can bump for the best of you, man. He will make you look like $1 million. It's something I was talking about on my on my review. It's like, and if there was someone that needed someone to make them look like $1 million, it's Nakamura, right? So Nakamura had the opportunity to work with El Generico, not Sami Zayn in my eyes, because even the match itself was the match. It looked like Wrestle Kingdom, this type shit, right? But I don't see anyone else, honestly, to make a debut look that good and to do the job and it still look strong to a certain degree. You couldn't have picked another person to do that. I don't think there's one other person that could have stepped in and made that debut as special as Sami Zayn did, very much as if he was El Generico. Another thing was Balor, something we'd never seen, and I know I've never seen it, is that there's this thing between Balor and the Demon. I think that was for the first time we saw the Demon, when he kind of demoned up, he kind of bulked up, like after, what was it after? I think it was after one Coquita clutch or something, where Joe hit him, and then he kind of no-sold it, and he got up and was like, "Ah!" You don't remember that part?
Not that particular part.
Whoa!
But I think in storyline we see the Demon every time the pain.
No, I'm talking about just raw angry emotion. He's calm, cool, and collective. He's like James Bond out there all the time. So to see him like just sort of bulk up and just sort of scream and like finally show a little bit like edgy emotion, I thought that really caught me off guard. So I'm like, is this something they're gonna move forward with? I hope so. Because we finally see a distinction between just a dude, that comes down and wrestles really well versus a guy in body paint and then wrestles the same way. There's no distinction. I want there to be a distinction between the two guys, or the gimmick is a waste. So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I agree. But what'd you think of? I mean, I only watched one speech in the Hall of Fame. I watched the Sting one.
I've never watched the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I kind of try to watch like some of the good speeches, but I heard it was good. I heard it was funny. The Sting speech was kind of cool. Ric Flair inducting speech was kind of rambly, and he kind of talked about too many things instead of just Sting, I thought. But then going on into Sunday, Wrestlemania.
Mania!
What'd you think?
Chicken salad!
Well, let's start with the
chicken salad, man.
The kickoff show.
Overall. It took me a second, all right? I was like, this is a solid 9 show. Like, a solid 9. A couple of things that went in, I dropped it down to an 8. Things that hit me a little later on, I had more time to sort of chew on the bit a little bit. And, front to back, you look at what they were working with, I think they did great. I think they did amazing. And you could tell that like the big sigh of relief after those final credits from everyone, just like, oh my god, let's just get by this motherfucker. But and you, what do you?
I thought it was way too long, but great. Like we could talk about what they could have done all day, but like going into Mania weekend, we knew the card. We got a bunch of surprises to keep us happy, and I think from what they had already lined up, they did great with. So I'm gonna say it was great, but just way too long, probably.
Way too long.
Yeah.
Is there any one thing that you would say they could have done differently, other than say the length? Or is there anything in particular you could go ahead and talk about?
I would have moved. This is very nitpicky, but I would have moved maybe more shows on the pre-shows, particularly the New Day and League of Nations match. That way, you have the Legends at the end of the pre-show that is on USA to pull people in, anyways, and also to make more time for the main events and cut it, down to not until midnight or 11:45 when it ended. So that way the Legends come out and they say, hey, you got to buy the network to see the rest, as like Mick Foley, Austin, and Shawn are walking to the ring. And it would have gotten one more match out of the way for the big show. It would have gotten the tag match out the way. And it would have also, I think, maybe gotten a few more eyes, bringing people in, seeing, those guys getting announced.
You talk about the Legends. I wish the Legends...
But that's very nitpicky. I thought the show was great.
No. We do a podcast and we analyze and nitpick at certain things. You don't like when I nitpick at fucking NXT. I know you're so glad that that part's over.
I mean, you did all right, I guess.
I hated that the guys on the roster, the Wyatts and the New Day and the League had to basically get shown up by the old timers. I hated that. I hated the Rock. They could have done without that Rock segment. They could have done
but I think they already said. I think what happened there was more of oh shit, we have the Rock coming. What are we gonna do with him? Fuck, we have Bray. Oh shit, what are we gonna do with him? So I think they just kind of like worked together of like someone they knew they had nothing to go with and someone they knew they had a plan for. Kind of
they could have.
And plus, you had the surprise there with John Cena, and I did think a few parts were funny in that segment where he like ripped off his clothes. He was ready, and then the quickest Mania match to kind of beat that record and get it off Daniel Bryan and Sheamus, I think was good too. So I think they did some kind of.
It was a waste. It was a waste of time. Man.
They could have maybe like done without the like lighting the Rock thing on fire. Just have him brought out. Maybe already have Bray come out and then have the Rock interrupt him. Or something like that. Then to have Cena save the Rock, they could have definitely They could have done something where the Wyatts looked a little stronger.
They could have done something where the Wyatts weren't even involved. Period. I would have much rather them saved face, especially no pun intended, going into Monday. Just bring out the fucking social outcasts. Those guys are perfect for that role.
Well, then
bring out social outcasts. Bring out someone else to make or Fandango. Bring out fucking somebody else to do that role. It did the Wyatts no favors. It did Rusev and the Jobbers, the League of Jobbers, and then now they're going back to my eyes, the League of Jobbers. No favors. It did the New Day no favors just to get shown up by these old fogies. I'm sorry. Like it just wasn't cool to me. It just was not cool to me. If I would change one thing, you send out another crop of fucking jabronis to get shat upon and give them that little Wrestlemania moment, and then not have guys that we look forward in the future to be your big stars, not to look like complete, whores, on the biggest ever WrestleMania stage has ever been.
Yeah, what did you think of this? I mean, going into like the pre-show and everything, what did you think of the staging and everything? I thought it was cool that they didn't necessarily have the screen behind them because of playing into that big 80-foot screen that the stadium has. And I thought it looked really cool. I thought just seeing the crowd behind them, I thought it was just a real nice touch. Because that was kind of the story of this year's WrestleMania, so to have that even when the guys come out.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't have much to say. I just thought it was kind of weird to see the pyro on the outside.
Yeah.
It's like it really, what was so cool about like, open stadium, when the pyro goes off, you see the spectacle, along with the in ring and, just the crowd. But like they had to shoot from the outside. It's like, well, no one can, all you hear from the inside is like all these big bombs. So it's kind of like a waste. I thought that was really weird. Yeah. But I guess the setup itself, I guess is what it was. I heard two things happen like during the show was that like they had an issue during the pre-show with the Wi-Fi and like tickets and all that stuff, trying to get that shit straight. So there was a lot of people waiting outside because they weren't letting anybody in because they were having issues with the tickets. Yeah,
apparently they didn't let people until the pre-show started. They didn't do a match till 45 minutes from that, but that Ryback Kalisto match. I mean, it looked
bleak.
It was quick.
No, I'm talking about the way it looked.
The crowd.
The crowd shot.
Yeah, you still got the Goldberg chance in there. I guess there was enough people to do that.
I mean, I felt bad for him.
Yeah,
I wasn't looking forward to the show, but man, at least give them a crowd and not just a bunch of people walking in with their popcorn and.
I felt bad for those guys. I feel like, but the match was. You got to keep the ball rolling with that. I think they're lucky to be a part of it.
I skipped it.
Oh, it was kind of all right. Like Ryback,
because I started late.
Yeah, Ryback took the middle turnbuckle off and ended up biting him in the ass. Kalisto ended up throwing him into it, then hitting the De La Soul. That was pretty much the story of the match. I think it was 9 minutes, and then Triple H's entrance was 6. So that shows you how the show was.
Oh God. Triple H's interest as long as this podcast. The fuck was that? I don't know. I skipped it because I started late. I was doing some shirt stuff. I mean, again, this shirt shit is taking over. But I ran home. I finally caught up. I had to watch it from the beginning, and then I just sort of flipped to the end of that match. It was nothing really I wanted to get out of it. But then, what was next? The Divas match?
Yeah, that match I thought.
Mania.
I thought she had a real nice Hurricane Rana, but then those suplexes and everything else, I don't know. I would say, so one great move, so she definitely over-delivered. She did hit one good move. I have to give it to her.
Go to cutthemusic.etsy.com and order yourself an Eva Mania shirt today.
But I thought everyone did all right. I thought, this match definitely was good. I thought when Paige broke off that big tower spot into the dive, I thought it was a good spot. I thought Natty killed it. Emma killed it. What did you think of this?
It over-delivered. I think we all went in thinking it would be this one big, large clusterfuck.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't the case. It ended up actually being really smooth. I think the ring generals controlled the pace. I think something as petty as Eva Marie getting a Hurricane Rana, something as simple as Lana getting those kicks in. It wasn't like they were going to overwhelm us with a bunch of this stuff, but they sprinkled enough in to where everyone was able to get their fucking get their little shine, and then have the baby faces win, and then have a good send off, have a great send off for Brie, and then Nikki coming out and they celebrate together. I thought that was good. I mean, you can't lose with that kind of a
sure, yeah.
match.
They placed on the show and well paced, just having like you said, everyone kind of did their thing. Nice split-legged moonsault by Naomi, but then we get a Lita promo right at the pre-show saying that it's not a Divas title anymore, it's a women's championship, and it looks kind of cool debuting the new belt. It's pretty much like a smaller world heavyweight championship but white. So that's 2 white titles in the roster now. You got the IC and the women's. Which is interesting, and then you got the copper title, so a lot of color variation in the titles more so than ever. But what do you think of the belt? What do you think of this news?
I mean, I don't know. This is it's all semantics to me.
Yeah,
now,
for sure.
I go, don't call them divas. I mean, motherfuckers panties in a bind about the word diva, and I go calm the fuck down. I mean, we get it.
Yeah.
Maybe isn't the best thing, but and WWE did the right thing by letting it go, but it wasn't like the greatest news there could ever been for the WWE to let go the word diva. It's okay. The progress was getting there. They finally got there, and I give kudos to any and everyone involved. As for the belt, it's the same belt. I understand why they went with the butterfly is to give it its own distinct identity.
Yeah.
That was, anyone who doesn't like that butterfly, I wasn't a fan of it either, but I do applaud that it was its own thing. Without a shadow of a doubt, I was going to look at that belt and say, that's the Divas Women's Division belt. This? No. I wish it had its own, they could have done something. I mean, again, not saying, give it some butterfly wings, but let it have its own identity. They could have done something to make that belt different than say what they already have. We've seen it before. Most belts that debut, we hadn't seen it before. And they just give us a belt we've already seen a million times for the men. Now it's just locked onto the women now.
Well, I guess the big thing is that it is like the men's. I guess that's kind of what they were trying, like, saying it's as, maybe implying it's as good.
Because you don't want to do that, though. I hate this. I hate this rhetoric, this idea that something has to be as good as a man. It's like when you hear like a white rapper, it's like, well, I would have never guessed it. He was white. He sounds as good as a black dude. Like that's bullshit to me. If they're good, they're good. And the idea of being as good as the men or to be as respected as the men, you keep putting that wall up that no one's going to ever see you as distinctive. No one's going to see you in your own world. Why do the women's division want to be incorporated with the men's division? Why would they even try to compare themselves to the men's division? Last night, UConn women just won like the fourth straight national championship. Fourth straight national championship. And they're not over there going, well, like the coach or the players, like, we just want to be as good as the UCLA team from the 70s. Like, no, we are UConn women. We are the standard bearers. You want some? Come get some.
Yeah, that's a definite. I mean, that's dominant as fuck over there.
No, dude.
And Duke's only won 4 ever. And then they've won 4 straight.
They won 4 straight like it was nothing. They would
men's.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like the women, because Leitner went 4 times in a row, but won 2.
Yeah.
But I was looking at the thing, and she was like, "Oh man, this trophy! I'm tired of holding this trophy." It's like, what are you talking about? That's how dominant they are. They get tired of the celebration. They were up there. There was no tears. There was no nothing, man. I mean, American Alpha won like a developmental tag team belt, and they looked like they had just fucking had just won the lottery.
I mean, with that 9,000 people, they definitely never wrestled in front of like. I guess they wrestled the SummerSlam, but they were part of like an 8-man tag, and then they did the thing in London, and I don't know how many that was, but like I don't know, man. I can definitely see some emotion going into it,
No, I'm talking about the Connecticut. UConn women. Like they had no emotion because they've been there so many times, and it's no big deal. Mm-hmm. But it's still the national champion, no matter how many times you've been there. The point I wanted to make is like if it keeps coming up, and even Monday, what happened with Monday and the whole women's division thing that we get to, I just go, let it go. We're here, we're there now. It's all good.
There we go, yeah. And then we got a pre-show match between the Usos and the Dudley Boys.
Skipped it.
I thought, it did its thing. You got to get the tables popped that you wanted. It was on the USA Network too. But then the whole story was that the Dudleys got it reversed on them, and the Usos, put them through tables, and the Usos got the pop. Not a big. Rusev's went over.
They got the pop?
Usos went over, but not necessarily got the pop. I spoke a little incorrectly. They got kind of a mixed, I would say, like a kind of a borderline boo, kind of a cheer kind of thing.
Yeah, they weren't saying ooze.
And the stadium was very full by that point. I would say like that was a while, between the Ryback and Kalisto match.
What I saw of that match, that was a very, very Dudley friendly crowd. They can't stand the Usos. The Usos are like whatever.
They did say that the Dudleys hadn't been a part of a WrestleMania since WrestleMania 20, and this was 32. So that's kind of a cool thing, coming back 12 years later and not be someone like Hulk Hogan. That definitely says something about the Dudleys.
But this back in the day, there'd be like long-standing feuds that you would be like, each time you got more excited because the stakes got higher and higher. Mm-hmm. Today's WWE, because of the even Stevens bookings and then like the lack thereof creative within the you get more creativity with Bubba Ray fucking with Roman Reigns than you would get him actually facing his actual foes in the Usos. So it's just like this got really stale. Just like when the Dudleys got stale with getting their ass handed to them over and over again by the Wyatt family, it just got stale. And as the Usos are doing themselves any favor because they lack depth. You remember when they were about to do that Naomi angle with the Miz? Yeah. And you saw like Jimmy Uso get some emotion. Like, you know what I'm saying? People were like, yeah, some of that shit.
I definitely agree with that, and like I think that you got the brothers gimmick, and even beyond that, you got the family gimmick already. Then they paint their face, they give them super kicks. They're all it's like, and then it's like too much on them, but it's like all gimmicks, no depth.
No depth whatsoever. We don't know. We still don't know who these guys are. You learn more from these guys from up, down, down.
And Total Divas, and I'm told Total Divas.
Than their actual fucking job.
That's interesting.
Like you know more about Roman Reigns, who's only been doing solo, as a solo wrestler for 2 years, and he has a guy that's probably as deep as a mud puddle. He has way more depth than the Usos until this very day. Until we get something that's similar to having them have a little emotion. Say if someone's trying to holler at their old lady, they're doomed.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they're doomed, man. They're doomed. They're fucking doomed.
Then we went into the main card here with America the Beautiful by Fifth Harmony. Apparently this is a big deal. I don't know who these artists are, but good on them.
Not about the money, money, money. Not about the money, money, money. It ain't about the cash. It ain't about the hoes. No, there's a dumb bubblegum group.
Oh yeah, I never heard that song until Peter's rendition right there.
Yeah, that was the remix.
Oh okay. I mean, I know about Peter, and I don't know about Fifth Harmony. But we kick it off with the IC ladder match.
Ah, yes.
This match was great.
Great. It was amazing. It over delivered. Everything about this was perfect. I don't think there was one thing in this match that went wrong.
It was glorious spot fest. I won't say it wasn't that, but that's what you want in this type of match. And to kick off Mania, to get them away from the pre-show matches, you needed something like this to fire up the crowd again, because they just saw 3 matches. So you got to remind them they're at Mania, and they killed it. I mean,
the storyline itself. Yeah, I mean, it began with Zayn and Owens, and you got a lot of that. I had to say all the spots and all the stuff. You got Sin Cara, And it was that, who did he land on? Stardust?
Stardust, yeah.
Yeah, that spot was one thing, but I say that fucking DDT from Zayn to Owens through the ladder, I thought he killed him. Yeah. I thought he died.
I mean, yeah, I think that introduced this feud to a lot of people, and I think that was great, because that was the overarching story of the match was that they were too worried about each other to actually go for the gold a lot of the times. And then
pump the brakes. You got the predictions, right?
I got them and I did the math. Yeah. And
okay, so let's start from the beginning. Before we get to the end of this,
I didn't write it on this particular one. I have the overall ones, and unlike last year, where Peter only got 1 right.
I fucking cleaned house.
He got 10 right out of 11.
I cleaned house,
and that's including the Andre Battle Royal. So of course, you're not going to get that one.
Yeah. No one got that one
for sure. So I'm gonna have to give it to Peter 10 right. I got 5, which I said respectable. I
fucking clean house, and I think this was my Norfolk State, this one right here. So I had Kalisto going over on Ryback.
Yeah, I think we both had Kalisto. I think we
had the Usos going over the Dudleys.
Yeah, I think I didn't. I think I got the Total Divas one right.
Yeah, Total Divas. I had Total Divas going
over. And then we go into this one. So I think I'm doing all right. I got 2 right, 1 wrong. And I definitely got this one wrong. I picked Sami Zayn. He picked Zack Ryder.
You didn't even finish asking me what I thought, and I was like Zack Ryder. It was a no-brainer because they gave it to him, and I said maybe he won't keep it for long. But to give him this moment is something I felt like he deserved. Sure. And you were like, oh, I don't believe in what he deserved. I
didn't say that. Whoa. I never said he didn't deserve it. I think
no. You said you don't believe in the idea of people deserving things. You didn't say that he didn't deserve it.
No. I never.
We could go back and play the tape later.
We definitely go back because I remember the week you did pick Ryder, but I remember
without a shadow of a doubt.
I was defending him being in the match and everything when you were not. You were bummed that he was in the match.
Yeah, I'm talking shit that he was. I didn't.
You picked him sarcastically a little bit.
No, I didn't pick him sarcastically. I picked him begrudgingly. Sure, I was like, man, he ain't no fucking star. But if there was somebody, and I went over in my predictions how. Why he would get it. And I go they fucked him up. They fucked him up, and now they're making things right. They got his dad involved and all that shit. I mean, I go, if it was something that, and even the storyline of him taking the photo with Razor Ramon as a kid, and Razor put the belt on him, and then he went and found Razor and put the belt on him and took the picture. Man, that's cool as fuck, man. Like that. Kudos to that moment for him,
for sure. And then
and his dad.
People are talking about like Kalisto maybe leaving Sin Cara in the dust, but here is Sin Cara, and yeah, he wasn't a big player in this match, but when he was, he killed it. He did that one spot where the ladder was falling down, where he jumped on the. He landed on the rope and then did the senton. And then when Kevin Owens was pushing it again, he jumped and then did the big crossbody to Stardust through the ladder.
Fucking Hunico, man. Yeah. That guy's a talent, baby.
That shows you that. And then in the all white,
he came out. And that's scary, too, because Sin Cara and White do not get along.
Oh, with the Mystico and everything?
Just cannot do it. I mean, well, the last time he's been showing up, I guess with the first Sin Cara that came through, he would, whenever he wore white, it was death, Oh,
well, I mean, he was Mystico, and that's what he was famous for wearing white. So of course they're going to put him in white here in America. But then of course they changed people, and then the gimmick, and then the guy went down, but the gimmick stayed.
Well, he would wear the green. And then whenever it came to the pay-per-views, he would wear the white, but he would get injured somehow.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's what happened, like the big pay-per-views, he would wear the white. But he didn't wear white all the time. So Sin Cara was, the first Sin Cara they got, which was Mystico, was wearing like aqua, basically like teal and...
Yeah, the blue,
and the orange and shit.
But yeah, I thought like everyone did a great job. It was an amazing match.
Zack Ryder.
Yeah, Zack Ryder got it. And his dad just storms the ring. It's crazy. If you, Art of Wrestling... fans know about Zack Ryder's dad and how he's probably a bigger fan of the WWE than Zack is.
Yeah, well, he's a fan of John Morris.
Yeah.
He loves John Morris, if I can remember correctly. And he used to work for Vince. Him and Vince are like really good friends.
Oh,
so he worked for the WWF. He worked for the bodybuilding joint. That's what it's called, right? The WWF.
That was it before it was the WWF.
Well, he worked that, and then he worked for the Vince bodybuilding thing as well.
Oh, wow.
So, like, it's like he's no stranger to the family, the Vince McMahon. That's why he's able to get that kind of, like, treatment. Like, that kind of, like,
sure, yeah.
The camera's on him, or he's able to go to the ring, and hell, even be in storylines. Like,
hell yeah.
He knows him, he trusts him.
I thought it was good, yeah, and of course it was good to give him that, give him the moment, yeah. Zach, the moment and everything.
Yeah, but that's all it was.
And his girlfriend got got to be in Mania. So yeah, big night. And plus, he was in the Snickers commercial. I don't know if you saw it. Definitely give him the
say woo. Woo! 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 No, say woo! 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 Woo!
It was great, yeah.
It was great.
But then we go on to AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho.
Another one I fucking nailed.
I thought this was good. I can't remember. I think I picked AJ in this one, so I lost. But this was a great match. He did hit the Styles Clash, but he kicked out. He went for the big springboard forearm, but then got the code breaker. That's pretty much the beginning of the end there for him. But it was a great fucking match.
I didn't think it was great.
Oh, I thought, this was definitely one of my, if not best, tied for best of the night.
I will say this, because I thought this was going to be the dark horse, the one that steals the
AJ
show.
hits that springboard 450.
Yeah, that was dope. I think it was more like I was waiting, maybe because I was just waiting. I didn't want to see the journey. I wanted to see how it ended. And I think everyone there was sort of feeling the same thing because we had seen the match before. It's not like it's not like going to pull off anything, maybe one or two moves that we ain't already seen twice between the two of them.
I don't know. I thought this was a great match. One of my favorite on the show.
He kicks out another Styles Clash, and I go, man, this guy. Because even on top of the fact that I predicted that Jericho was going to go over, and I said this, because, I don't think they see money in AJ Styles. I have to recant that going into Raw. But I said then and there that they see no money in Jericho and AJ Styles. And, like, okay, this is not going to be his first WrestleMania. He could take the loss. But I also made the comment, and I'll wait for it. And a year from now, we'll go back and play it back. But I don't think AJ Styles will have a match on next year's WrestleMania. He's going to be. I still believe they don't see any money in him. I mean, I'm gonna recant a little bit for now, but I still see him in the over-the-top battle royal, and that's going to be the only role that he has next WrestleMania.
We'll see. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. Then we get a Zach promo, and then we go on to the New Day versus League of Nations.
Coming out of a big old box of fucking bootios,
dressed like Dragon Ball Z.
Which I thought was kind of lame.
Well, I mean, they already coming out of a big box of cereal, so
I know, but you can't double gimmick you can't double dip the gimmicks.
And they had Francesca too in the black and gold dress for the occasion. Ridiculous. I would say this is not the best entrance of all time, but definitely the most ridiculous Mania entrance of all time.
Yeah, it was kind of minstrel. Yeah, that's really weird. It's very minstrel.
Yeah, like think about even I know the New Day and everything, but like think about if you watched last year, you never watched until this year, and how would you be able to explain to someone that they came out of a big box of cereal,
a Bootios called
dressed
Bootios.
like Dragon Ball Z characters, carrying a trombone, and then cutting a promo on their way to the ring? It's just like, I can see you just being like, what the hell is this? You know,
yeah,
but
what the fuck is that?
I think
the only thing I got out of that, the only thing that made me
I laughed. I thought it was good.
Snicker out of that. I mean, I thought the ridiculousness of it was because apparently they wanted to come down in unicorns. That's what they wanted. But I think, safety precautions and having to get something like that, they said no, so they brought up that as a as an option. And plus, they brought out the big box of cereal before even the AJ Styles Jericho match was even finished. So all of a sudden, you look over in your peripheral and you just see this big old box of Bootios cereal.
I did not know.
Yeah,
about that.
you heard. I didn't listen to it, and I was like, oh my god, like, did they really do that?
That's hilarious.
But the only thing that really made me snicker as much as, say, the ridiculousness of the presentation of them coming out of a big box of fucking cereal and then being dressed as Dragon Ball Z is to hear Michael Cole call it. And he goes, yeah, that's obviously Vegeta. And he says, he says, Woods is obviously Vegeta. And he's like, from Dragon Ball Z. And that that was just a audio that I expect. The last thing I expected a piece of audio to hear is how Cole is informed about who Vegeta is and the cartoon Dragon Ball Z. I thought that part made me snicker.
Yeah, that was great. I'm not a big anime fan, but I definitely watched Dragon Ball Z as a kid, so it was fucking cool to me. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
The match itself was real quick. Barrett got the shaft just like we kind of thought he would on the outside.
Yep.
6-on-6. I thought they were going to play up.
Yeah, 3-on-3. Yeah, 6-man tag. I thought they were going to do 4-on-3.
Yeah, or they play up that Francesca 2 is the fourth member of the New Day or something like that.
Or somebody else added to the list. I mean, there were so many different things.
But that's
afterthought.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Woods got bro kicked, got pinned. Pretty much the story of the match. And then after that, Barrett starts cutting a promo, which just ends abruptly with Shawn Michaels, then Mick Foley.
Wait. Shawn Michaels in wrestling gear.
Yeah.
At that. Sure. Like, he came out, no shirt. He was the Heartbreak Kid ready to go.
Yeah. And then Mick Foley comes out, and then the Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out. Apparently,
Cactus Jack comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Cactus Jack comes out.
And then they big pop from the crowd. Of course, 2 Texans, one guy who got his name in Global, World Class. I can't remember. I think, started out there. So, 3 Texas wrestling startups here coming out, getting a huge pop. And they beat up the League of Nations. And then the New Day thinks they're dancing with them. They get Big E. Big E gets Mick Foley going. Kofi, gets Shawn Michaels going. Woods thinks he's getting Stone Cold going to dance. Does a big spin into a Stone Cold Stunner. Didn't do much for Xavier Woods, but it got a pop out of me. I thought it was hilarious how he got way too confident to do a spin move and then hit with the very well timed if you're going to do it. But you got to put some new guys over. I can just go with it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like have them drink a beer with all those legends and at least put them over.
Yeah, I actually have like a sort of good moment, like one generation to the next.
And plus that would look ridiculous, like Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley, The New Day, all drinking beer together.
Yeah, that'd have been great, and singing and like gyrating and shit. But like two things. When we saw Shawn Michaels come out in that fucking gear, we just like, what the fuck? Wait. Is this about to be like a second match? Is Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement for like one day? Because once you think about it, those guys went in there, and Stone Cold Steve Austin for the past 6-7 months have been downplaying the idea that he would be affiliated physically somehow in this fucking thing. They came out running, big smiles on their face, which was completely against what I would think would happen. You know, like it became sports entertainment, and then it like the best thing that happened out of this was Rusev's sell of the fucking Stone Cold Stunner. It was amazing. It was the greatest. If you didn't remember it, go back and watch it again. Yeah. People, if you're listening or you watching right now, hit the subscription button, thumbs up, thumbs down, leave a comment. PJTW Central, Ellen Japanese, JG Pro Wrestling. Watch that fucking Stone Cold Stunner that he put on Rusev, and Rusev sells that bitch like no one's ever sold that fucker ever before. I popped.
Hell yeah.
For the sell.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what it was supposed to do. It was an amazing match.
And then Woods tried to outdo it. It was a good sell, but it was no Rusev.
I remember the Woods sell distinctively because he did that big jump back and everything, like real cartoony.
Rusev, it was almost as if it was in slow motion. It was so beautiful. It was beautiful. He went. It was like a bottle rocket, man. It was so great. That was like to me almost like the greatest moment of the night.
That's great. And then we got Brock.
Oh, can I say one more thing too?
Sure.
And it was, as we know, Mick Foley hasn't been really doing that well. His body has been basically breaking down. He hasn't been able to move. There's a good interview between him and I think Stone Cold, and he's putting over DDP Yoga, and he went to DDP Yoga, and it did better than the hundreds of $1,000s he was kicking out to all these doctors and shit. But like to see him out there and knowing that he's as bad as say Bill Walton in terms of moving around. They see him get out there and walk to the ramp and get a couple of kicks in. And
well, he said he lost because of, on the latest Stone Cold podcast that was filmed that weekend. He said he lost 50 pounds and he only started within the last 6 months with DDP Yoga.
Yeah. So to see him moving around, I mean, seriously, around Christmas, around my birthday, November, he was in bad shape.
Sure.
So to see him moving around like that, almost like seeing Razor Ramon last year, he was in bad shape. And to see him do the run out during the Triple H Sting match that he loved so much, it was kind of like a great moment. I think, you look at it, and you go, wow.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that he's mobile again.
I think, if you wanted to nitpick the segment, you could say it didn't get any guys over. But, I mean, Wrestlemania really is shown to not be for that necessarily. It's for creating these big moments. But yeah, so it was great. I think great segment. It didn't do much. Obviously, didn't do much for the guys who got their asses kicked. But then early in the show, we got Brock versus Dean. Quick match, but I thought this was a good right match too. I was still thinking this Mania was going really well at this point. I liked everything going on in it. And we got Brock versus Dean. 13 suplexes in this match on Dean Ambrose.
And at F5, it took a lot to take him down.
Yeah. Dean pretty much, brought the chainsaw out, didn't work. Brought the bat wrapped in barbed wire, didn't work. Put a big pile of chairs in the middle of the ring, got F5'd onto him. So
it took a lot. It took as much to get him down as it took the Undertaker.
But yeah, none of his stuff worked.
So for whoever, you think about it, you go, whoever says that, oh man, Brock should have lost or should have put him over, this guy ended the streak, okay?
Yeah,
he's Brock. He's proven on all levels of combat sport, from high school, Mr. Wrestling, high school, like he's undefeated in high school. He goes to college. He wins the NCAA heavyweight championship. Mm-hmm. He becomes the heavyweight champion he becomes a football player. He becomes a heavyweight champion.
No. WWE first, quits WWE, then without college football, walks onto an NFL team, last one cut.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
And
then he goes to MMA. He becomes a UFC heavyweight champion. He's also a New Japan heavyweight champion
IWGP,
as well.
Him and Nakamura and AJ Styles all IWGP champions.
So he's proven. He's this proven guy without a shadow of a doubt. He can end the streak and he can beat the shit out of some jabroni. But hard as nails. I'm the Iron Man. It took him it was a baker's dozen of suplexes that they kept count on the big screen, by the way.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Another thing about the big screen, they were telling people what to say.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like they were kind of advising the people to do certain chants and shit, like woo, like getting people to woo, or getting people to say New Day rocks and all that stuff. That was kind of weird.
Oh, I mean, that comes on the Titantron, though.
I know, but it's like...
That's
during
the match?
Yeah. But I expect that during a basketball, football game. I don't expect that can't, in today's wrestling, you can't be telling me what I need to be fucking cheering
No,
for.
yeah, I mean, I definitely know what you're saying.
But I guess to finish... what the hell was I talking about? What the hell were we talking about?
You're talking about Brock Lesnar.
Oh, yeah, so Brock... I double dipped on this one. This match was 10 minutes. It was short as fuck. For a street fight, it was more like a around the ring fight rather than a street fight. I mean, they could have done something a little more creative, but they kept it close to the ring. You know, okay, so the weapons showed up, but they were really to no avail. It was short and quick the way it needed to be because Brock Lesnar's a beast. Again, if this went beyond 10 minutes or was going to be heavily like 15, 20, it would have been a failure. You can't have him go down after, because whoever Brock loses to is getting the ultimate rub, right? A guy who beat down John Cena, made him look like crap. A guy who ended the streak. I wouldn't dare give that to Dean Ambrose.
Not unless you were planning on putting the world title on him the next pay-per-view or before SummerSlam, I would say. Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, you come to see Brock destroy shit, and part of, with Mick Foley and Terry Funk helping build him to Mania, like, they got their asses kicked a bunch. I mean, Mick Foley got thrown off that cell. Mick Foley got powerbombed through that cell. You know what I mean? So, that's what kind of makes the hardcore legends is like the respect of taking that much punishment. So I think it helped Dean out too. I mean, like to give him that's probably the biggest match of his career.
He didn't take no fucking Mick Foley punishment though.
No, I mean, but I'm just saying that's for what they're going for. That's the way to go down that road. Not necessarily saying
in a PG setting as well. There's a bunch of a fucking beatdown you can get in a PG setting that looks legitimate and presentable as something that's hardcore.
For sure. And then we got
a great point there.
I would say my favorite, or if I would say AJ, it's between AJ Styles and Chris Jericho or Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks versus Charlotte for my two favorite matches of the evening. We got, of course, Ric Flair with Charlotte. We got Snoop Dogg with Sasha Banks. They're cousins and everything.
He wasn't ringside, though. He only came out to do the
entrance.
Intro.
Yeah.
And that girl, like, fuck, she was blown up.
I guess she was... I guess she sings that song usually and has maybe a tie-in with Snoop or something.
No, I think she's the actual girl that's singing the hook, but she's blown up.
Yeah.
She's out. It's like, wait a minute, you're not the Ultimate Warrior out here or something. Or I heard a podcast not too long ago, I think it was Stone Cold, and they were talking about the idea of blowing up just because of the spectacle. You ain't even got to run or do anything. Your anxiety is running so high to be on such a big stage that your body tires out. But to hear her sing, she should have just lip synced that shit.
Yeah. I mean, and then Snoop Dogg's verse is okay, but I think just having Snoop for an entrance is just kind of what they wanted. He came out with all the divas in 24, and now in 32 he comes out with one.
And a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Hall of Famer.
But I think he's on the actual song, isn't he? The actual recorded song.
I think there is a rapper, but I like hearing that voice in my head. From what I remember, it doesn't sound like
Snoop.
It doesn't sound like Snoop. But I mean, I don't know.
I thought it was the entire time.
I mean, just I'm just going by just like the voice. I can only remember like a few of like the like ending of the words, but I don't know.
But speaking of performances, before Flo Rida was supposed to actually done a live joint too to do My House, but they got cut.
Oh well,
they cut it out because after 6 hours, 5 hours, people tired. They've heard the song a billion times, so like, nah, we're just gonna give the performance to Snoop.
Well, I mean, and it was
an entrance.
It was an entrance, and I think they underutilized the 2 hours of pre-show if they were going to go 4.5 hours for the actual Mania. Like, put a match on there, put Flo Rida going out there. Like, because 45 minutes of the first pre-show was video package we've already seen, and then they did it again for the pre-show on the USA Network. So, like, I feel like they could have definitely utilized that more and not gone as long into the night as they did. But this match, though, was fucking amazing. Too many spots to call the early going. I think they were all three going back and forth. An amazing senton through the ropes, through the middle and top rope by Sasha to Charlotte. And then Becky Lynch goes through with the suicide dive to old Ric Flair.
Yeah, she drops his ass.
Which was amazing. Yeah.
Watching the old man take a bump again.
And they have beef from Fastlane,
yes,
where he kissed her. So I thought that was see all these women's rights activists. If you just kept watching wrestling, you would have seen the payoff of her diving right on.
I don't think there was too many women's rights activists bitching and moaning about that as much as it was like white knight dudes.
Well, they pulled it. Well, I mean, yeah, activists. That's why. Yeah, not women in the. Yeah, whatever. Whoever was bitching, you got to just keep watching wrestling. Which is
they cut that out of the
now
post?
It's because of all that stuff. Yeah, it's not. If you go back and watch it, it's not on the Fastlane anymore.
Willin' Dillon.
Yeah, kiss stealing.
No, dude, what are you doing? What's wrong with you?
The dirtiest old man in the game. But anyways, yeah, we also saw a figure eight that got stopped by a big frog splash, a la Eddie Guerrero. She was wearing the Eddie Guerrero tights and boots, but she didn't win. She got Charlotte then put Becky Lynch back in the figure eight, but Ric Flair was there holding Sasha's legs, not letting her break up the attempt, and that was kind of the story of the match. I think if they had a clean win either way, I would have totally had it as my go-to match of the night. But I think the finish, that could have been done on a fast lane. This is supposed to get over who you're getting over out of these three. Put over Sasha or put over Charlotte or put over Becky Lynch, but just make it definitive on the night that you're having that big moment where this is the champion.
Hey now, back it up there, brother, because I said this same fucking thing about Bayley. And what happened in NXT Dallas?
Well, I would say that anyone beating Bayley is a big deal in any form or fashion.
But she didn't get beat.
Well, yeah, she got choked out.
She lost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're supposed to feel this way. You're marking out right now. That's supposed to be what happened. Now you're supposed to want a rematch.
I'm marking out. I'm just saying in general.
But I'm saying this was the night that they unveiled the new championship. You could have had a clean finish here,
Well, I think it plays up to what they did on Monday night. I mean, I got it right. Like, what I'm saying? 10-1, I'm nice with mine. The reason why Charlotte retains is that nothing more the name and the look, right?
Yeah.
The name and the look, and someone's gonna go over on her. She has to have that WrestleMania moment. Actually, if you look at this entire card, outside of, I mean, it was almost as if it was a lot of heels going on, a very heel heavy show for WrestleMania.
Sure.
And when I
League of Nations.
After I gave my predictions, I was like, shit, I got too many heels going over. And come to find out, I was dead on the money for a lot of them. And the next day she flies in with Roman Reigns to Good Morning America, and she's like, she's this big, tall, blonde, good-looking woman, like, to represent the country. She's the Divas champion. Like, she's still marketable. As much as I like Sasha Banks, she's a little too brown. I mean, going to heavy waters right now. She's a little too brown, a little too small, a little too AJ stylish to be putting out there, dancing around out there. And Becky Lynch, language barrier. You don't want her representing your company right now with, i.e. Cesaro out there doing that. So, I mean, there's reasons behind this that are a little more, I guess, as more cosmetic than anything moving forward. And that was one of the main reasons why I picked Charlotte to win. But it's not like she went over strong. You got a man holding one of the divas, and then the fact that she tapped only because a dude prevented another person to get to the tap. She would have never tapped if Ric Flair would have never got involved. So it's not that the heel got over because she, cheated to win. Obviously, that's great. But I don't see Becky Lynch tapping out as something that was harmful, and I didn't see Becky Lynch Sasha Banks being held by Ric Flair. I think that got her over more than did do damage. Unlike, say, what happened with Bayley is that there was, at that moment in time, you did need a definitive winner. I think so.
Just in the middle of the... Okay. I mean, this was... do whatever you got to do, but I think it could have been more with Charlotte taking out Sasha and then going into this, But, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do that. But I thought, like, this was the night to do it if you're going to do it because the unveiling of the women's title.
But then it goes into Monday. We'll get there.
And then, Shane and Taker. This is when I think the show started getting a little too long for me. The entrances were okay. I mean, Shane came out with his kids, which was kind of weird because... Very weird. Yeah, this is supposed to be like you're supposed to be scared here, Shane. You're supposed to kind of feel this. But, I mean, whatever. It happened. But really, it was kind of a dull thing until they got to the spot that everyone wanted to see.
That's all that was. Yeah. That's all this match. So I sat back and wait. Because he fucking kicks out of a choke slam. You know what I'm saying? Like, he kicks... that. For him to kick out of a choke slam on the steel steps, man, Undertaker, you're losing your fucking touch, brother. You're losing your touch.
I think he'll do. I think he'll do a lot of favors for Vince for Vince helping him pretty much with his standard of living.
Of course. Of course. You gotta suspend your belief, man.
So Shane McMahon climbs the cell and stands there for a while. Everyone's cheering, and then as soon as he jumps off, Taker moves out the way.
He got the fuck gone.
Yeah, he smoked that fucking table.
And if you haven't seen it yet, I actually have my reaction to that.
Go back. So is Shane or Nakamura? Who's in the lead here? As far as reaction
that Nakamura by far.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, man. By far. I mean, the reaction for Shane is just like, I think
it's doing all right.
It's barely, it's not. Right. It's not doing as good as Nakamura.
Well, what did you? I mean, I thought the match delivered what it was. Much like I would say the Divas 10-man tag or 10-lady tag.
It was slow. It was painstaking. It went too long, and we sat and we waited for the spot.
Sure, and this was when it started. Kind of WrestleMania's great pace, great matches. I thought were kind of started getting a little creak. A little like started going, not necessarily halted. But it started slowing down here. The momentum that the show had.
And I said this about Taker. Didn't make... Huh?
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm not saying that the Becky, Sasha, Charlotte match was bad anyway. It was one of my favorite matches on the show. It was a good show. But if I was nitpicking it, I would definitely say that that's the only nitpick is the end. But this, the end, the big jump, and then the tombstone to win, I think, of course you're not going to have Shane win that match. It's going to be Taker. This is one of the matches I got right.
No, they made Undertaker look like a coward to not take. I mean, he got out of the way, and his reaction to getting out of the way was almost like a coming to Jesus kind of moment for him, which I thought he was selling a little too hard. And I guess in a means to put Shane McMahon over, and then he kind of picked the bones. That was not a respectable win. It seems that's been his MO as well. I mean, even going back to the Brock Lesnar feud, he won with a low blow, and that was the only victory he got out of it. And then he tried to do it again. So it's not painting a good picture moving forward for Taker to sort of scanter out away, look like he just seen a ghost, and then pick the bones and then sort of walk off. I mean, Shane McMahon coming back the next day, walking after fucking getting carted out made him look way more stronger, way more of a badass than the Undertaker. So
and he did have that shiner the next day.
Yeah, and I'll just say that was probably the only booking decision I felt that was really, I wouldn't say bad. It's just like I'm looking at Undertaker in the side eye now. I'm not looking at him straight on.
Sure.
He hasn't been looking good over the past couple of weeks in terms of him either getting the win or trying to get in the win.
Yeah, I mean, having him go toe-to-toe with Shane, just having that not just be a complete obliteration from the beginning. Even though they did their best, they had it he definitely speared Shane through. He moved out of the way and things like that. But, I mean, just to have that match, to have that match in general, but I mean, since you had it, I think this is the best you could do with it.
And it rounded off basically the moment of the night was. I mean, you look at Sin Cara, what that happened with that ladder, but we forget about that. We're gonna talk about, and they're gonna show this shit for years on end to come.
Sure.
That Shane McMahon over 20-foot drop is the moment of the night, more than anything that even came close to happening on this fucking show. And I feel like that's a shame. That's a real shame because there's some good things that happen on WrestleMania that should be talked about moving forward. Zack Ryder winning the ladder match, Sin Cara that spot. What's a good spot? The Divas match and how that flowed.
Sure, I know what you're saying. Yeah, this is the spot that everyone's going to talk about. But like I said, it took way too long, and then we went into Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and I feel like the role this played could have been the same role that the Rock segment played. Like, they could have done this earlier in the night, especially on that long, like I already said, underutilized pre-show thing going on. But I thought for what it was and where it was and everything, it was great. I mean, everyone came out. We had surprises. We had DDP. We had Shaquille O'Neal. And we had
Tanaka.
Yeah.
Not Tanaka.
Tatanka.
Tatanka, yeah.
And we had
Diamond Dallas Page!
Yeah, no, and we had Baron Corbin. So that was cool. Yeah. So,
I was surprised to see Diamond out there.
Sure, yeah. He came out last year at the Philly Royal Rumble to the Big Pop, and he came out again. We already talked about how he's helping, Scott Hall, Mick Foley, Jake the Snake, and everything with the DDP Yoga. So I think that's why they throw him in these spots nowadays. And plus, I mean, it's a big pop.
But they moved. That's the thing. They moved. And I was listening to, I think, Shake Them Ropes, and they were talking about... No, not Shake the Ropes. It was Solid Monster. They had the discussion. And they said that... Because the match, it was supposed to have been pre-show. It was supposed to have actually been on the pre-show in USA.
Sure.
And it said it got moved. And one of the things, I didn't even think about that. That's so forward thinking over there. But it was like, they have to have something big for this. And as big as it got was Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, we had the Big Show and Shaquille O'Neal stare off just like on Raw a few years ago. And now there's even rumors that that's setting up Royal Rumble or WrestleMania 33 in Orlando. Where Shaq, played for a few years and everything, and they're looking to hype that up. That's where Big Show did his big Floyd Mayweather fight at WrestleMania. So it's a big town for both of them. So that would be the year to do it, and you're heating it up here. But you had DDP, fight the Ascension, throw out Victor, then get thrown out by Connor.
Uh-huh.
And then you had Shaq throw out Sandow. You had Big Show throw out Fandango. It kind of all sorted out to where you had a few guys left, and I mean, lo and behold, the NXT rookie Baron Corbin won it.
Total shot.
Yeah, not a big fan of Baron Corbin, but I'm a big fan of if this is what you're going to do. You're putting over a new guy. You're making this mean something.
It came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. I'm sitting here going, oh, yeah, because even in the NXT match, and I forgot to bring that up, the way that it finished, I was like, this is far from over. This feud is far from over, right?
Yeah.
And then he wins the over-the-top battle royal. I go, is he going to take that back to NXT and gloat? Nope. Yeah, but that's what we talk about later. I had no idea that they were going to pull the plug. Not pull the plug, but all these people coming back.
Well, we'll get there.
I know. I'm just saying. I just find it. Well, what are you going to do? Giving him that and not giving it to Mark Henry because that was my guess. Who did you predict?
I picked Strowman. He wasn't even in the match. So I mean, you had a Final Four candidate, I think. So And with all the surprises, I mean, who was going to pick that? And it was the only one you didn't get correct. But yeah, going from there, we had the Rock thing that I think we've already kind of given our thoughts about. But the big deal with this one is John Cena came out, which I think they could have rushed this along a little more. But for the time they gave it, I think for this extended time, this was a good thing. Like, you had some funny moments in there, but ultimately it was kind of shitty just to see Bray get kind of
get toasted.
Yeah, and The Rock is kind of cheesy now, man. He kind of says the same things,
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this Rock.
But
it's
then,
the cocaine. It's cocaine Rock.
It is. Yeah, but then the big thing is Cena came out and helped The Rock. So a world champion that never missed a Mania since he's been world champion, didn't get to have this one missed. But it did take way too long, and it was already a long show.
I hated looking at Bray take that roast. I hated it. I hated watching those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and plus it was real long. If you like caught him, like if it was like a back and forth and you caught him, or if The Rock was getting beaten up by the Wyatt family and Cena came out to save him, that would be all these different things.
Yeah,
you know? You could,
but they get a 6-second victory, and then they just roast him.
Yeah, you could have done something where instead of, like, they have the 6-second victory, and instead of, they get so pissed they storm the ring and start jumping The Rock, and then Cena's music hits. There could have been 10 minutes cut out here or there, because I think the crowd was dying, even with The Rock. And this was when the show, personally, was really weighing on me. And then we go into Triple H's entrance, which, I mean, I think it was good, but it was fucking 6 minutes long. And I wasn't too excited for this main event, and this just really weighed on me. I was looking at it was 11:15 at the time.
Yeah, when the show should have been over.
Yeah, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, is this going to be like a 10-minute thing? I was like, that's good for Roman. It's going to be a real short match.
Yeah, no. It's just horrible that he's in that spot to begin with.
Yeah.
It was a boring fucking match.
But
it was Hunger Games.
I think if they died, I think what they thought was the crowd's going to be way too excited and boo the hell out of this match if we don't just bore the hell out of him with a Triple H entrance.
Well, I didn't think it was boring. I just think it was over the top. I mean, it was a McMahon Helmsley jerk fest. I mean, it was what it was. It was Hunger Games, and it's like this presentation is like, okay, here's this big stage. All right, my daughter can be like a really good actress one day, right? And like put her in this big spot and give her these lines and put her in this really over dramatic dress. She's like Beyonce out that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck? Is that Beyonce or Stephanie McMahon?
And I think the crowd, the story of the match, like the crowd was, I mean, they didn't boo. Like there were some people cheering, there's some people booing, but they were kind of just dead, especially for so like even with these spots where they speared him through the barricade and they did like little things like that. What did kind of wake the crowd up was the spear to Stephanie.
God Almighty!
Yeah, and
you saw it coming though.
You saw it coming from a mile away, but that was the only. I mean, that's the one person you can have in the ring where Roman Reigns can do something to, and the crowd cheers. I mean, I think they timed that out. They placed that out well.
Stephanie, you took one for the team. It was a waste. It was a waste of bump for you. You're gonna be you know down. And he protected her. I thought that was pretty nice. You know, he protected her on it, but it's still a bump, and there's gonna be 5 or 7 years from now you're gonna regret. It's like Fandango going over Chris Jericho. You know, you're gonna regret it. That's not gonna aid him. That's not gonna help him any more than say him just going away.
Yeah, and then pretty much two Superman punches and a spear.
It.
Roman Reigns wins. I mean, it's good that it's on. I mean, they tried their best to push the guy they wanted to push, and I don't think it was a complete disaster.
It was so anticlimactic.
It was anticlimactic, but like what you wanted, like would have been.
Yeah, but the crowd was so goddamn tired they couldn't fucking overthrow the kingdom.
Yeah, I think that was the whole thing. Was I mean, he won. The people that were really big fans cheered. The people that wanted to boo kind of just didn't care at that moment. And they spent 2 hours trying to get in. It was a 7-hour show. They were probably just tired.
Fuck yeah, they're tired.
And then plus they've already seen 4 table spots, someone jump out of a thing, Eva Marie do a Hurricane Run, like all these things. They saw Snoop Dogg. They seen everything pretty much. Like a wrestling match like this, I don't think anyone could have gone out
drained.
There. Yeah,
and I would say, and the match itself was boring. I mean, like, let's not get. Poor Triple H, because Triple H is better than this. He's a fucking amazing guy. He goes up better against guys who are either faster, smaller, quicker. like, or who are just as wily. Roman Reigns is just a boring guy. It's just a bunch of slaps and stuff. And it doesn't complement how well of a ring general Triple H is, because he's a student of, he's a student of Ric Flair. He's the best in the business. And and as a champion, I'd like to think that he's like a plausible champion. But man, you put Roman Reigns 3 times straight in the main event, and you saw absolutely no progress in how he conducts himself in the ring in these high fucking pressure matches is a fucking shame. And watching this match and watching having to have fucking Triple H sell for this guy and for this lackluster finish and this fucking bullshit like presentation of it all, it just goes to show, it's like this dude is like, I like to learn. I like to say this: the best way to learn how to drive a stick is in 5 o'clock traffic. Well, it's like 5 o'clock, and this motherfucker should be driving an automatic. And I'm just saying, he should be driving an automatic. He shouldn't even be out in that big spot. He should be groomed up to that spot. But to just have him 3 years straight,
yeah,
and then it's duds.
Yeah,
a fucking dud.
2 years, yeah. He was in the main event last year against Brock, and the thing that saved that was Seth. There was no big Money in the Bank cash in to save it, and plus it was a lot longer than last year. So I think, yeah, the crowd was just dead. But rating this year's Mania, I would say it was a great show, good show. I liked watching it. I'm not going to shit all over it like everyone's doing. I think it was just way too long. They kind of just utilized the pre-show more and got a little bit more done on the pre-show and took about an hour out of this show. It would have been really, really good, better than it was. So I'm going to give it a B Mania, but an A show, because they kind of...
chicken salad, baby.
Yeah, they did what they could.
Chicken salad. I give it an 8. If I was to give it a number grade, I'd give it an 8.
Finn Balor was one of the guys in the mask
I saw that.
Triple H's entrance. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care.
Oh, well, like, the story of that was, like, I think, like, CM Punk was, like, one of the guys in...
The Tommy gun.
Yeah, so, like, it's kind of interesting to find out who they use in all these spots, because they kind of, it was all hands on deck. Even the NXT champion had to dress up like a skeleton. He
had to do the job.
Yeah.
He had to do the job to Triple H's opening. But, it's just no different than, say, setting up a ring, you know what I'm saying? Breaking one down, just got to get in there, all hands on deck. I give it an 8. I think the spot of the night was Shane, and it took away from the people that I felt deserved the big spot to remember. That match sucked. That your main event, something you've been pumping for weeks on end, and beat down and brawls and fights and things of that nature. It resulted in this, and it was like normally you win a championship, and it's like. They shoot the crowd, they shoot you, the winner, and all this. They just had that son of a bitch climb the buckle, and they got the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
They got out of there.
Yeah.
There was nothing afterwards.
I mean, it was...
They get it tonight. It's like that was it. It was maybe 2 minutes just to get the pyro going, and then
honestly,
to get the fuck out of there.
I waited like 10 seconds to see the crowd reaction. People were kind of cheering. I was like, okay, and then I left. I didn't even see the end of Mania. I was tired.
No, but that was it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're telling. That's what. Yeah.
There was no run-ins, no nothing, no beatdown, no
usually
nothing.
Mania. I mean, last year's Mania was an exception, definitely.
Yes, and that was one of my biggest beefs. You mean to tell me, and then we'll move on to Raw. And I would much rather do like bulletin like conversation pieces than say go like point by point.
Sure.
But you mean to tell me this is your main event this year? Triple H, Roman Reigns, and no clicks and whistles, because we thought it would be something almost damn near similar to what happened with Sting.
But I would say by the time they got to it, I mean, what would you have done? Like The Rock? I think what would have saved it if The Rock and the Usos came out. I mean, you already had them there. Just have them come out and celebrate with their family member. I mean, it would have made complete sense. It would have gotten people at least to cheer a little bit because they see The Rock again. But like, I mean, you can't really have The Rock come out after he beat the Wyatts. You already had like Shawn Michaels come out on Triple H's side. Like, who could you have brought out that you didn't already bring out?
I cannot pinpoint what I would have done. but I would have done something to make. You mean to tell me the most exciting thing in your match was fucking Stephanie Beyonce McMahon giving her fucking speech about the authority? The most entertaining thing about this match was Stephanie McMahon
I was getting the spear though.
Not only like giving and then getting speared. That's the most entertaining thing.
Well, between the three of them, she's the most over.
I just go, last year we get a fucking cash in, a fucking just a brilliant moment. My top 5 moments of all time, and this is your follow up.
Yeah, I mean,
sad.
I know what you're saying.
Real sad.
I mean,
man.
you could have, Peter wanted a lot of guys to run out, but the WWE creative.
I didn't want anyone to run out.
Well, the WWE creative didn't want none going into the next pay per view. And going on to Raw into this podcast. We start out with Vince, very hot crowd. Of course, Raw after Mania. The music stops, and the crowd sings Vince's song back at him, and he loved it. You could tell he got a kick out of that.
Because it's one of the only times that he got a pop since he's been. I think he got one big pop to the build up to him setting up the storyline. But then this, and it's like that's all you got. Like, each week he goes, that's all you got.
Sure, yeah.
And now finally he's getting like the accolades. That's what he loves. So I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool.
It kind of shows you like this is no bullshit this year. Like in case you thought it wasn't going to be good, it's going to be good this year.
So pump him. This show in itself gave you so much. It was almost to the point where it was like, oh my God, can you scale back a little bit? Debuts, returns, title changes, fucking number one contenders, fucking a shift in power. It was so much.
I know, I loved it. I thought it was
all
great.
These call-ups. I love the show, but man, oh man, like what? I still heard nothing but people griping. Like, just, I mean, is it just a matter of us as wrestling fans being just being like contrary all the time?
I would definitely say because I thought this show was awesome. I would say the shows for the weekend, from what I've seen, I would say like Takeover, Raw. I would put Mania at the bottom. I would say this Raw was great. It had I liked the main event.
But you think every Raw is great?
Well, I thought this Raw was great too. I don't know what to say. And so did the people. It was above 4. It was above it got like normally Raws get 3 and they get and some segments usually get a 4. No, but nowadays, this Raw consistently stayed at a 4. Which is pretty good. It's rare nowadays to have that happen. I was looking on a 2-year span of it.
Of Raw after Mania, you mean?
No, of any Raw.
See, that's the thing. You can't put you can't put Raw after Mania in the same boat as, say, just a random Raw.
Sure, but let's say, how about the go home show for Mania? Its peak was almost as bad as this one's low.
Well, you have to take in consideration the reboot that is Raw after Mania.
Oh yeah,
it's a reboot. So a lot of people are tuning in just to see. Okay, this is the opportunity where we let people go. We bring in new stars, then we get some surprises.
But I think if you give people what they want, when more people are watching, more people will stay tuned for the weeks to come. And I think they did give people what we want.
What are you, Captain Obvious over here?
No, well, I mean, I told you the number, and you said that. So then I was like, well, that's why I said the number. So but Shane came out retired. And then also said, well, that match you saw last night didn't matter because Vince just gave him Raw anyways.
Yeah, that's family. But you know what, though? That was basically under a microscope family. Because family is like that. Because, you look at it, you go like, my God, you mean to tell me all this build-up? And they brought up the lockbox. Finally, there was a moment in the match when he grabs that toolbox, and I'm like, "Is that the lockbox they were talking about?" Yeah, but he brought it up. He just kind of just laughs it off. Oh yeah, I took care of the lockbox situation. Ha ha ha, hardy har. And he just gives the fucking shit to him, and because he's beat up. I was two things for him to actually get out there walking after that fucking joint, and his nose too. He was busted up. And it didn't do Undertaker no favors, man. It did Undertaker no favors. But then it was just like, all right, let's see. Because, like, how about this? Moving forward after this. Now, do you honestly believe, and this is breaking kayfabe, that it was the fact that he handed over the reins to Shane to say that Shane booked this show?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they're saying. Because
that's horse crap.
But if you watched it, they like before Apollo Crews came out or after or something, they had Shane talk to him, and between almost all the things, they showed Shane consistently talking to people throughout the night. So I think that's what they were going to say.
Do you think they were really trying to get us convinced that it was actually Shane making these moves?
I think they had a story to tell. I mean,
but do you buy it? Do you buy it?
I mean, I know that everything they do is orchestrated, but I think that that's what the story they were trying to tell.
I think Vince booked this entire show because even in the beginning he goes, "This will be a show you will never forget."
Well, I think it's like everyone. I mean, whatever happens usually just happened this week, but then they just had the storyline of Shane running it.
I just wish they would make it more believable that it's actually him behind it. Again, I'm looking at the show going like, Vince is booking this show. I mean, they're putting Shane out there as the vehicle of change, and that's why we get all these people and all these things. Like, oh yeah, come on up, like fucking Apollo Crews in the back. How can you get the reins of the show and then all of a sudden Apollo Crews shows up? He's like hanging out and catering in the back and like.
Oh, it was Wrestlemania Weekend. They were already there for NXT.
Yeah, okay. So it's like, hey, get over here, kid. I think Vince. This is Vince booking, and I think this is the booking and the things that I feel that he should be doing the entire time. But he has in his mind what he wants as a promoter, what he thinks helps his company best. I don't think he booked. I think he booked this show begrudgingly. I think he did all of this completely begrudgingly because out of all the people that showed up tonight and all the people that did something, I don't see him seeing like big money out of that shit. I don't see him looking at what he decided with AJ Styles or what he did with The Miz and Zack Ryder, what he did with fucking Kaz and Enzo, or what he did with Apollo Crews. This conversation that I saw that he sees big money in these guys. I don't see he sees big money, but he begrudgingly did it just to see what it was. And a smack in the face to the fact that he booked this show was that he goes, okay, this is a show for the crowd. This is a show for the fans, for the hardcores. He gets in the car. He's like, hey, this is a sinking ship. Like, I'm going to be like I told you show. This is going to suck. And he bounces, right?
Yeah.
And I think he begrudgingly booked this show the way that it was. But it made me happy. It made you happy. But I don't think, honestly, it made him happy to book this show. If anything, he would have just left everything alone.
Oh, I mean, I'm not sure. I think this is. Last year they called up Neville. A few years ago they called up Paige. So I think this just became like kind of the debut. NXT's already there to bring up a lot of the guys that were already there doing matches. I think it just worked out perfect, and to have them debut in front of a real hot crowd helps them. So,
but 4. Because SmackDown in the vaudeville, but that's a lot of people.
And Corbin was on Mania.
That was a lot. That's a lot of call-ups.
Sure.
That's like a roster full of call-ups.
Yeah, you got to outdo yourself,
But what about everyone that's coming back though? Like someone's gonna fall through the cracks here.
Sure. I don't think. Well, I'm not expecting everyone in NXT to come up and everyone be a superstar. That just doesn't make much sense. But I do think that an Apollo Crews match on the show will be better than someone is bringing the standard of the show up. I think Enzo promo is better than most of the promos I see on Raw, so that'll bring the standard of the show up. So I think a lot of the calls they did, vaudevillains, I think they're going to, there's no more Los Matadores, so we need the vaudevillains. I think that's kind of where it is. They were NXT champions, they're very good, but I think that Superstars is kind of going to be their spot, and I think this is not a backhanded compliment, but that gimmick and everything worked. That funny kind of style is good to get the crowd going, opening the show and everything. I think that's where they're going to be, and I think Corbin, everyone wants Reigns to turn heel. Corbin is almost exactly like Reigns, only he is heel, So now we have that. I think it helps.
He looks so young in the face. That's the only thing that's not working for him. He looks like a baby face. His face looks so young, and he has that receding hairline.
Already, yeah, it's weird.
It fucks with me because he's a big guy. He has the physique. He has the look. But then it's just almost like he's like a Dick Tracy character. You know?
He's like an NFL player. He did like a judo.
Yeah,
so,
but
he's done a lot. So.
But he's like a like baby. He's like, it's like, you know what I'm saying, like a Dick Tracy villain. There's one like small face. Like he's small. He's like baby face. It's weird. He's an awkward looking thing, and I'm thinking, man, he'd be maybe a bigger star if he looked older somehow. If he had like some sort of grizzleness, or a bigger beard, or his hair was thicker up top. But
sure, yeah. But I think now, I mean, we'll get to it. But yeah, the Baron Corbin project is now on the
yeah, and I ain't mad at it. I just go, again, this is a thing of aesthetics, and what I was going to say. So what was first? Was it Apollo Crews? Did he kick it off?
No, the first was the New Day versus Barrett and Sheamus with Rusev and ADR on the outside.
Okay, and that had everything to do with basically the dysfunction of.
Yeah, the New Day win this one, and then they say they got the team is only as strong as the weakest link. They take out Barrett. Barrett's gone. I mean,
well, I said that was going to happen.
Yeah, so I guess this is how they're clearing room for these new guys. All these.
Well, they're not clearing room by bailing on Barrett. Barrett's gone anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so that would be they are clearing room somewhere. That's one guy gone. And then the Wyatts show up and attack the League of Nations. Shit's going nuts. So I really like this because Harper's out. You have the New Day with 3. You have the Wyatts with 3. So making the League of Nations have 3, it just makes sense to have these kind of factions going up against each other with pairings. You can do 6-man tags.
New Day moves on from this. This was a write-off.
Wyatts, you got to heat up the Wyatts.
And this was for the belt too, by the way.
Yeah, you got to have and Mania wasn't for the belt, which is kind of ridiculous. But I think this helps having the having the Wyatts beat the League of Nations, just like you had the Wyatts beat the Dudleys, helps sort of keep the Wyatts strong to keep feeding them to these legends.
But
you're
overlooking something here. This is babyface Wyatt here. This was the ultimate babyface turn for the Wyatts. And we've been waiting for this for so long. I mean, the Fireflies and all that stuff that they do, and no one ever boos Bray. Like, he doesn't get booed. He actually does something as simple as, you remember like the Holiday street fight against Dean Ambrose? You remember that match?
Yeah.
And there's a moment where, as heel, supposedly, he throws Dean Ambrose into like some trees, and then the crowd is like, one more time, and he gives it to him.
Yeah,
he gives it to him, and I knew then and there. I go, man, oh man, the day they make these guys. The only time that the Wyatts have been heel is when they were fucking with Daniel Bryan, and I don't even think Daniel Bryan made the Wyatts heel as much as just people were just so behind Daniel Bryan. So,
or I mean, when the very early going with the Wyatts with Cena and everything.
Yeah, maybe, but like people loved it.
That was like a year ago.
They loved it. They loved his ass. I think the only time that they were booed as heels, not Bryan, but when they debuted against Kane. That's when they were kind of like, okay, these are bad dudes. We don't like these guys, but they looked so cool. And like Harper, the workhorse, Bray, the hard hitter. Whatever with Rowan, but nevertheless, they had pieces and the music and the speeches. They had everything laid out to where it's like, how can you boo these guys? They don't do anything dastardly. They do nothing dastardly.
They gang up on people.
Yeah, but they don't cheat to win. It's one thing to beat you down. Who doesn't love a good beat down every once in a while? But they never cheat to win. He never grabs the tights. 9 times out of 10, Sister Abigail, boom, clean 1, 2, 3 victory. You get the Fireflies. Turn these motherfucker faces. Put them up against put them up against the League of Nations, and have the League of Nations break down to where they're finally singles wrestlers again. They put up against all of these baby faces coming up. Apollo Crews needs a foe right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
First and foremost. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's ideal, but like the biggest thing is like they finally pulled the babyface trigger on the Wyatts, and I think that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, hell yeah! I didn't think about that. And then we have a summer promo. I think it's a better summer promo than I've ever heard.
This is
Calling out Sasha. Sasha comes out, very quick match. Pretty much Summer Rae taps to the bank statement when it finally got applied. I thought it was all right, but very quick match. I guess Peter didn't have anything to say.
Not really. I mean, what's next for Sasha? What's next for Sasha Banks? Because she loses the match, because of Ric Flair involved, and this is they still don't know what to do with her. I saw this as this thing where it's like, okay, here's Summer Rae, and okay, here's Sasha Banks. She's still undefeated. She gets this win, and then boom. Now what? What? They're undecided.
Yeah, for sure. Then we have Tyler Breeze come out, so it's about to be an ass whooping on getting for Tyler. Versus Apollo Crews coming out. This was pretty big stuff. He hadn't been in NXT for a year, but even when he got brought into NXT, people were saying
he's money.
Yeah, he is. He makes it too easy. Uhaa Nation in the Indies and in Japan and everything. The
biggest
good. I think he was ready. I think he was ready the day he walked in.
I think it's funny. I thought honestly, because when they said, "Oh, next Apollo Crews," I was like, "What the fuck? What?"
Yeah.
Right? It was like that. Like, where did this come from? Because again, he gets to win over Elias Sampson, and I'm like, well, they're not really showcasing him on NXT, as much since he's lost to Baron Corbin in London. So it's like, all right, maybe he's floundering down there. Maybe they got so many other guys coming in to where he's kind of losing his position. The guy's size, the guy's look, whatever. Let's go ahead and get him up. He's money. He's money. He's money. He's money, baby.
That's what I think. Maybe now we kind of see why he was kind of sitting there, kind of floating, because they didn't want to do too much with him because they knew they were going to call him up quick. I want to say, because he did have a really good match with Finn at the end, but this was definitely your basic.
That was not a good showing.
Apollo Crews ass kicking here. You got the press slam into the standing moonsault, and then you got the big where he picks someone up as if he's going to do, kind of like a fireman or a backdrop maneuver, but then throws him into a sitting power bomb. Amazing move if you didn't watch or if you've never seen it. But yeah, Apollo Crews looks strong in his debut against someone who he's used to wrestling. He does his big moves. I think if you've never seen him, you're definitely thinking about him because he did those two moves that you never see on Raw: the standing moonsault, press slam into a standing moonsault, and then that power bomb maneuver. I think that stands out on a big show even like this.
Well, how about this? I honestly thought when Apollo Crews came out, when they said he's debuted, I was watching this live on the Wirecast, and I was going back and forth with people watching with me and going like, well, who is, because I did the first hour live, I didn't do a Raw recap. I was like, well, who's going to face? And then when Tyler came out, I was like, oh, okay. That was the last feud that he had on NXT. Maybe they just continued the feud because I felt it was unfinished. I was like, oh yeah, they give Tyler Breeze something to do. They bring up Apollo Crews, and now they got themselves a already made feud from a continuation. But they didn't go that direction. I was like, oh man, I would have looked forward to watching more of this sort of low card feud just to sort of build the both of them, because again, Vince McMahon pulled the plug on Breeze. He's like, fuck this guy.
And I think that's the whole thing about it, is like he's good to use in this situation specifically because they've wrestled before. But as far as a full program with him, with Crews or anybody,
it'd been an opportunity though, right?
Sure. Well, I haven't seen SmackDown. I don't know about Raw next week, but yeah, I think maybe Apollo Crews, can go somewhere else from here, especially in Vince McMahon's eyes.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's the inner mark in me wanting feeling bad for the Tyler Breeze storyline. It reminded me of, because that last match was a struggle, right? Yeah. It was actually a struggle. It was a main event match, and it was a struggle between Apollo and Breeze, and he gave his valiant effort, and both of them, and whatever. It reminded me of Goldust versus Sheamus. From when they had their fucking crazy match in ECW reboot, and then when Goldust finally faces Sheamus when they give him that monster push, he beats him in 15 seconds or something like that. And I go like, oh man, that sucks. They just had a fresh feud where it was tight locked and shit. But yeah, I'm just saying that's me nitpicking. That's what we do here in these part of the woods. But
Sure.
but rather than go like match for match or like segment to segment, I think just going into the second hour, and I think it'd be an overall like sort of consensus. Is there anything before we go into the main event, because we're going up on the main event storyline? Is it anything that happened in the rest of this show that stand out that you thought was like that's worth conversation?
For sure, two things that happened. The first, Zack Ryder coming out with a big pop, showing the Scott Hall picture, his dad there, and then I thought the Miz and him, that was a perfect wrestling match and segment. You already had the built-in, face and heel clearly identified. I think you could probably show this as a textbook wrestling match. You had the heel and the face clearly identified. You had the heel giving, the face's dad shit, and the dad pushing the heel back for a big pop. And then you had the heel's wife, Maurice, a return coming out to slap, the guy. And then the Miz getting the victory. I think it did every performer did everything they should do. And, it's good now that Maurice gives Miz a little bit of a reboot, and then now he's got the IC title. I think now this is like the 6th or 7th time, but I think this time is going to be a little different. He's got the girl, he's got the new jacket, and Miz is kind of good in that IC title realm. I think that's why he's had it so many times, is because he's a good heel to heat up the new babyface to go against, especially at this point in his career. And I think it worked. It worked out great. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, they just gave Zack Ryder a Wrestlemania moment, and that's it. That everyone knew he was going to drop that belt soon. But yeah, the only thing that stand out is like he basically gets the Christian treatment, which is, I would have liked to see him actually take the IC belt into Payback to maybe lose. Right? And more so than say the match itself, whatever, it was what it was. The return of Maurice, and I don't know why she left in the first place.
I don't think she was one of those. I don't think she's one of the ladies who have always dreamed about being a pro wrestler. I think she kind of fell into the job. I think she probably
she used it as a means to elevate whatever other career she had. Wanted to be at.
Maybe. I'm not sure exact details, but I think she kind of got tired of the road and everything, just like Michelle McCool and everything like that with Undertaker. I think.
But what they have for Maurice, that the next season of Total Divas, they're dropping the brown ones. No more Rosa Mendez. No more Alicia Fox. They got rid of them, and now just found out that Maurice will be part of Total Divas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I don't know the capacity of her on the road. With being the valet of Miz, it would be a nice touch.
And they're real live couples. So.
Yeah, but I don't see it happening. I think that was just like, I think that was her introduction into the fact that she's going to be on Total Divas more than be on the road side by side with the Miz as a power couple. And
then they got the Ashley from Tough Enough too.
Yes.
Yeah, so they packed it in with blondes. So
yeah. Yep. Let go of the brown ones. No more brown ones. I think as brown as it gets is the Bellas, and I think they're going to be. I think they'll probably do a spinoff.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's see what happens.
It's going to be just call it Total Blonde and Total Aryan. That's what we call it, Total Aryan.
Oh, well,
yeah, it's horrible, huh?
And then I want to talk about some tag teams a little bit. I want to talk about the Usos versus the Dudleys. I thought it was an alright match. The Usos got the Dudley. Pretty much. I think the Dudley boys got lost, and as they were leaving, Enzo and Kaz show up.
The debut of Kaz and Enzo.
Yeah, and just like that match was, I would say, textbook for what you would show as a pro wrestling match. I'd say this is textbook promo right here. It had me cracking up 5-10 minutes after it fucking happened. I thought it was hilarious where he's just like, you better fall back like your hairline, just cutting all these funny ass jokes, doing what we want to see from Enzo and Kaz brought up to the main roster. Pretty much it was like the exact same thing from NXT brought up. Everyone was familiar with it, everyone knew the chants, and I think if you didn't and you found out about them, this was good. This was like everyone who's missing, Rock promos from back in the day, Road Dogg promos from back in the day. I think this guy is the new guy who's good on the stick. And then you got Big Cass, who can hold his own, I would say, in the ring. I think this is a great tag team. I'm glad to see him pulled up. And I think with guys that are veterans like the Dudley Boys, this is a perfect first first feud for him.
I think, the theme of the night was this. People were waiting for certain things. And even though I think people were happy to see Apollo Crews, I think people were probably happy to see Kaz and Enzo. That's not necessarily what they wanted. They wanted to see Finn Balor. They wanted to see Anderson and...
You don't think people wanted to see Enzo and Kaz, though?
No, they wanted
Enzo
to, but not as much as Finn and the Balor Club or Bulletproof, or what you want to call it. But here's the thing about this debut, and I thought it was what it was. I mean, they played it up, they stuck around, they went back, and they were out there talking shit to set it up. Now he comes out, he cut the promo great, but it was the presentation of it all that was something that I thought that was really, really cool. The international crowd. Something also I want to mention is that the Michael Cole and JBL and Byron Saxton was basically burying the crowd the entire time. They were saying that whatever, this is a special crowd, guys. Like, moving into this, they're going to boo or they're supposed to cheer who they're supposed to boo.
Yeah.
Like, they did it like 4 or 5 different times, right? Which is like, all right, now comes Enzo and Kaz. And everyone knows all the lyrics to the song, and everyone's fucking popping and going nuts and understand what he's talking about. Even if you were casual in there, just to be in a room full of people that's excited about these, they got caught into it. So if I'm to look at this face value and looking at WWE, looking at the main roster, I don't care who's running it. It could be Shane, it could be fucking Mick Foley, it could be fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin for all I care. This is all about Cass. This is all about Big Cass and him having his solo run. Enzo, I don't care how great he is on the mic. What he's going to facilitate for the company is being another Santino Marella. And I don't see Kaz and Enzo being that much of a tag team within, I would say even by SummerSlam, they'd probably break these guys up. And they talk about Carmella. And I go, well, I don't see Carmella coming up anytime soon because she's not ready. She's as fucking not ready to be on that main roster as
Maurice. Oh no,
well, as Eva, but nevertheless, I love Eva. I'm just saying, like that's what I saw. That was a good moment, and it will live in history. But like, I sit and wait until they fuck it up, right? That's how I feel about that.
I mean, I think that's a glass half empty and take a gulp mentality. I think this is an amazing thing.
We watched the show, man.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've been watching for years too, and I remember when Jericho came out because he had that great promo. I remember when Booker T came out because he had that great promo. And I think this is going to be one of those things.
It's a different company now, though, man.
This is a classic, and let's see where they run with it. I think, the Dudleys, the New Day, the tag team division is pretty much set up for them to have promo battles all the way up the card.
How did you feel about the Baron Corbin promo?
I thought Baron Corbin did a great job. I think putting him up against Dolph Ziggler is the perfect opponent, much like Austin Aries was the perfect opponent.
How do you feel about the promo?
So he did as good of a job as he can do. So not good, but for him it was good. Yeah,
it was too long of a promo. And I get what you're trying to do, get him over, get his catchphrase in there, end of days, and this, that, and the other. He reminds me too much of Roman Reigns when he talks.
Yeah,
he does the whole waving of the neck and
well, they were taught by the same people, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but like,
I think that's what it is. I think this is going to be a litmus test because now everyone wanted to see a heel Roman. I'm more interested in Baron Corbin than I'm a fan. And I was a hater, so now I guess he's moving me in the right direction, but I'm just watching to see where this kind of project goes, because he's the heel Roman. So like if people wanted a heel Roman, here he is.
Outside the fact that they're going to go into a program with Ziggler, they got him right off the bat with Ziggler,
which is great.
Which I don't know, man. I don't know. It looks like just something for Ziggler to do.
Well, I mean, Ziggler can bump for this guy, and this guy needs a ring general to help him out, and I think Ziggler's one of the best on the roster. If you can't get over with Ziggler, I think you need to go back to NXT, so let's find out right away.
I don't think Ziggler would have been a good facilitator for that. I think they could have done something better with Ziggler. They could actually, he came out the crickets. For one, like when his music hit, I was like, oh my God, no one gave a flying fuck.
Yeah.
And that's bad. And if some a group of people who are as crazy as the Raw after WrestleMania crowd, and you come out and you're supposed to be like kind of a darling, and they don't even care about you anymore. It's a bad. Not only for Ziggler, it's bad for Corbin, because no one gives us. You're only as you care about you as much as they care about the person you're involved with. Oh, I think if this fails, it's because they chose the wrong person.
I think this is the perfect one. He's not up to card, and I think this was, not to quote Baron Saxon or anything, but this was a special crowd, and I think when they go to like your Oklahomas, your Alabamas of the world, you're going to get the Backstreet Boy-esque pop for Dolph Ziggler.
No one gives a shit about Dolph Ziggler. I don't know what show you've been watching. That like when his music hits, no one gives a shit about this guy anymore. No one gives a flying fuck, and it's by design too, by the WWE. I don't know who the fuck. I don't know whose story he pissed in. Actually, I do know. It was actually him going after Nikki Bella again. Like they used to date,
yeah.
and that just didn't sit well. He has a job. He's getting paid, but like they what they're doing to him was what they did to Zack Ryder, and it's working because no one cares.
Sure, but I think I don't see this feud for an upper echelon feud. Yeah, it wouldn't work. But for the first feud for Baron Corbin, maybe not even a get a pay-per-view out of it. I think it's a perfect opponent to have we have the big match maybe next week on Raw, or maybe going into, was it Payback?
Yeah, Payback.
Yeah, so
I think he could have got at least. I would have gave him Kalisto, honestly. I would have gave him Kalisto as a baby face, as someone that somewhat cares about.
But the thing is, he needs to get a victory, and are you going to put the belt on him that early?
Well, I would say the only no. Yeah. I mean, it's the U.S. belt. Who gives a fuck?
I mean, they've done I think, a very good job in the last few years. Putting it on Rusev, putting it on Cena, giving it to Rollins.
Oh, yeah, then it dipped.
Well, I don't say it dipped. It wasn't a hard.
No, it's nosedive.
Compared to what it was, no. Compared to what it was, where it wasn't even offered, it was like on Santino Marella all the time. Compared to like where it is now,
it got on Del Rio.
I think it's pretty good.
Nosedive. So I don't care. I mean, like
I don't know. I think even the lowest level belt, Baron Corbin.
Because here's the thing, and I get it. Say moving forward from like coming off his NXT and being kind of like the indie darling hater, he's just gonna go after all your darlings, your internet darlings.
But he ended up getting tapped out by Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn, and then he lost to Aries. So that indie darling thing, indie darling thing didn't work out too well.
Well, I'm just saying, like the idea is that like if he's going out there hating on you because you're from ROH or New Japan, or if you're not from ROH and he's still putting the ROH label on you, is that it's a good quick way to get heat on you, especially in that sort of realm of NXT, like
sure.
It's quick heat. I mean,
yeah,
man, fuck you, Jay Lethal. Who the fuck are you? You're nobody, man. Fuck you. Kick his ass, man. Kick his ass. And so it's instant heat.
Sure.
So and maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when Dolph Ziggler was like really a hot commodity, then yes,
sure, yeah, I think they definitely missed the boat with Dolph. But I mean, where they are right now, I think they kind of both cross right there at the nice, to kick off a pay-per-view, or to like maybe like be a nice spot on a Raw. I think this is a good feud.
How do you feel about the Vaudevillains getting called up too, but not to the Raw, but to SmackDown?
I think I said it before. I like the Vaudevillains. I'm not trying to come across as I don't, but I think they were getting very stale on NXT. I think it was time to bring them up.
No!
I don't think, the Vaudevillains are not, they're never going to be the team to win the belts. And I think they're a perfect act for superstars in a main event.
Yeah, there's no more Olay. There's no more.
There's no more Los Matadors.
They gotta fill it. But man, these guys are gonna go down. At least Los Matadores had a chance because they had like the little bull and shit.
Well, they're coming back too, Puerto Rico.
I know, which is weird because I didn't really pay attention to
the Colon brothers.
Yeah. which they should have been in the first place.
They were, and then they took it. Then they made Los Matadors, and now they're back.
Well, they were Primo and Epico. They weren't called the Clones. They didn't put the name, the legacy in front of it.
Primo was with the Clone Brothers with his brother Carlito, and then when Carlito left, they brought in Epico. So I mean, they were like, I mean, this has been a.
It was never a stamp. It was never a brand. They were just these two dudes together.
The Clones was not with Epico, but with
Primo and Epico.
Primo and Carlito were.
I know what I'm saying, but I'm talking Primo. I'm not talking Carlito. I'm saying what they did before they became Los Matadores. They were just Primo and Epico. They didn't put forward the branding of the Colognes.
I think they're gonna fall like.
And from Puerto Rico, finally they're from fucking Puerto Rico. They had them from fucking South America. Like, get out of here with that crap. They're not Matadors. They're fucking Puerto Ricans. And I think somebody even said that in a promo, like cutting them down.
Yeah.
Who was it? Do you remember?
No.
It's like, oh, well, anyway.
But Vaudevillains and the new Puerto Rico
they're
team,
set up the
Vaudevillains
set up to fail. They're not going to last 1 week.
You need bodies to look good. I think they can all do that. And I think when they're on these matches on the Superstars and on Main Event, I think they can put together real entertaining matches. But I think you had to bring them up sometime.
Nah, this is utter failure, and I'm just going to be sitting back waiting for them to basically like just take them not only off TV but just cut them in general. I see them within the next 6 months, possibly in ROH. I see them, like I'm dead serious, man. These guys,
well, I mean, that's pretty
and they got the WWE rub, so they got a job forever in the Indies. But like now, no, man, no. No, they don't fit. And the only I don't see Aiden English. I see Gotch maybe be at least squeezing something WWE career, but God, as a duo, they're
gonna get Brad. They're gonna get Brad Maddox real quick. I think they could be maybe used in the back segments because they're looking everything, but then it'll slowly dwindle away. But I think they're gonna.
They got nothing they can match it up with. Nothing.
I think they're smaller, so they're gonna bump well.
The only thing that fucking Aiden English got going is that he's fucking JoJo. And you know what? You want to
what? Really?
Yeah, they've been dating forever.
What?
Yeah, that's JoJo's boyfriend. Fucking Aiden English. So
if
you break him off, oh hell yeah, he would be a heel. I guarantee you that. She started coming out with him as a valet. Oh yeah, he's a heel. Motherfucker's mad as hell. The fact that JoJo's shacking up with that, I tell you that right now. That's the only fucking thing that could work out for him. And then he plays like he's like Mark Marrow, right?
The jealous guy.
Yeah. And then I think that's the only way he could get over.
Well, who knows, man?
Hate him.
But then the main event was really good.
What we jumping though?
Oh, I thought you. Well, you said
no. I'm just saying, like, well, we touch base on things, but they reintroduced the women's title thing, and they had Charlotte cut that crazy promo, basically trying to go serious and then turn heel. This whole Divas division to women's division, she crushed it by saying that her dad was the reason why she's the women's champ.
Yeah, she did a good job. I mean. I had no problems with the segment. It didn't really stand out.
I'm just saying, I think it.
I saw like a picture of all these guys taking, because they were facing the camera. So all the girls standing there, with on the ring, kind of at eye level with their, So I saw all these like funny pictures of like dudes like just taking pictures of their butts the whole time.
Creepy. Well,
yeah. I mean,
they're putting over her even more as a heel by even debunking the idea that a woman deserves credit for anything when she turns to her dad, who's a male.
Oh, I didn't.
That's what I'm factoring in. So all of this new belt women's division, she goes, but my dad is the reason why all this is happening. And it's like, whoa. They're burying the gimmick of a women's... They're so hell-bent on keeping the divas that like they do all this big turn and this whole presentation twice.
Well, they all leave on her, It's...
But
I don't know why
I'm talking about in a business standpoint. They're begrudgingly going along with this women's thing for her to actually be written a promo to basically shoot it down and giving the credit to a man.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see that in the back and everything. But I think he did get the heat, on the ring that, they could kind of say, oh, no, we were just trying to get the heat. I think it did get that heat. But, I mean...
Natty's next in line.
Yeah, I mean, that match already was an amazing match on a takeover. So, maybe they can get a family member out there to even the odds with her and Rick. But, yeah, I think this is going to be a great match. And on Roadblock, it was a good match. So,
did you see Bayley coming up tonight?
I thought she was going to come out with Mania and have the four-way, the four horsewomen. But if I thought she was coming up at all, but no, I think you need to get that. Friday night, I thought she was going to come up with Mania, but I think you could get, just like you got 2 Sasha Banks matches, you can get 2 Asuka matches.
Because this entire segment was hijacked.
Oh, by them chanting Bayley and everything?
Oh, yeah, we was a Bayley.
Well, yeah.
But, I mean, it's...
There you go. See, you have some people saying Bayley should have been brought up, and then you have some people hating that too many people got called up. I think it's there's too many people watching WWE to keep everyone happy, and there's definitely a big segment of the audience that definitely just wants to sabotage. So they're going to cheer. They're going to go all the way down to cheer for the referees, and X-Pac was in the crowd one year.
But do you think it's warranted though? Because I look back on the idea.
I think she's definitely over, and I think that doing things like this to have people clamoring for it is good.
But they did that with Sasha. They still kind of do that with Sasha a little bit, but, they did nothing with it. They've done nothing with the whole demand for Sasha.
Yeah, it was kind of... I thought it was going to be a Mania, and, I mean, she looks strong tonight. They're definitely giving her wins. They're keeping her strong. So, I mean, that's all you can really ask for. It's not like she's sinking. She's staying strong.
But, hey, if you're not ascending, you're descending.
Well, I think she is. I mean,
and in that case, because dude, you got people clamoring for her, hardcore.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. I think if she doesn't have the belt by, or she hasn't had, or doesn't have the belt by, like we say, SummerSlam, which is already sold out, by the way, in New York again. Then I would say she's going to get kind of Dolph Ziggler, because then that's when people are going to be expecting more and more of the other ladies to come up.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't screwed it up yet, and I'm holding out hope, even though. There are the Dolph Zigglers and the Zack Ryders that exist.
Could you imagine? But do you fathom this idea that they just don't see that kind of money in her moving forward?
We'll see. I think that they didn't see it in Bryan, and we saw what happened there. He stood tall at Mania, beating Randy Orton, Triple H, and Batista. So I think eventually they'll give in if she can prove it in the ring, and they still want it. So there's going to be a lot of factors, but I think she could still do it.
Well, there's one thing to prove yourself, but then it's just like first impression. Does she have it? Because I could say, oh yeah, she has it. You could say she has it. But we're talking Michael Piestage, we're talking Vince McMahon.
Time will tell.
And we're talking, we're talking Triple H and Stephanie too.
Sure, I think, and with that answer, I think time will tell. Is it there? Do you have, you got all the ingredients. You got to, you got to start cooking. So I mean, it's up to them.
I'll be honest, and I say I think Becky Lynch has it more than Sasha at this time.
I don't think the crowd's definitely not as behind her as they are Sasha. So I would say Sasha's the one you go with, and I think. I don't know. I think Sasha's really, really fucking good.
You're a big fan. I get it. I'm just asking a question. I mean, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate. I'm just asking a question and making the conversation.
I'm answering, man. That's cool.
All right.
Do you want to just jump into the main event?
Yeah, but I think the idea though,
the whole storyline. Renee's interviewing them, all the guys in the main event. Jericho and everything. But when it gets to the Zayn. Kevin Owens and Zayn go at it again backstage. Kevin Owens puts him through a table, third table spot of the night.
But what builds to this though is Reigns
Oh, yeah, I forgot we didn't talk about this already.
Yeah, we haven't yet. He gives the open challenge basically because he's like, I just got rid of the fucking jabronis. He kept the promo short and sweet. If you want some, come get some.
And I also liked how he said, JBL said at the main event, but I think it's a really good way to explain Roman Reigns, where he doesn't want to be a good guy, he doesn't want to be a bad guy, he just wants to be the guy. But then he changed it where when he did have the belt, he said, I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I am the guy, which was, I think it's a great way to explain Roman Reigns, and I think saying just the truth about something is definitely going to get people to cheer for him more so than they do now.
But here's the thing: I don't know what that promo accomplished. Honestly, I don't know what it accomplished.
Well, I mean, you can't just not have him come out, but like,
no. Like, not saying that him not coming out or not. I just don't know what that promo accomplished. Because it had shades, and even when everything went down, it had shades of somewhat of a turn. Like he came out, hey, people booing, oh, this crowd, this zany, wacky crowd. You know when you're fucked up. When WWE wants to discredit you, they call you wacky. Like, don't call them wacky. Don't get called wacky. That crowd was called wacky. And he comes out, he's like, oh, come on, guys. And he says this. And I go, well, what are you trying to accomplish? Because if you're giving like this slow burn or this like slow tease to a turn, I think it's not going to do you any favors. So when all the guys come out demanding a match, being who they get Jericho, he comes out first.
Yeah, Jericho, AJ, Owens, and then Zayn. They all come out. Zayn and Owens just go at it. Roman is sitting there laughing at him.
Yeah, he's looking down on them.
Yeah, and then Jericho and AJ get at it, I guess, from the ruckus. And then everyone's just going nuts. I think it's a good way. I think the promo accomplished. You had to show Roman. He said a good point. And you're not going to... If you just left with Roman standing there, everyone would have just booed the whole time. But then to have those four guys out there with Roman, you're getting not just a chorus of boos the whole time. They have to at least cheer and recognize that their favorites are in the ring.
I just still feel that they don't know what the fuck. Very much like... Oh, God. Very much like Sasha Banks. They don't know what to do. They have these dueling environment of these house shows and him being loved, and then like these televised shows and pay-per-views of him being booed, being cheered at a house show by the kids, being booed by the adults at the tapings, at the live tapings and everything like that. And it's like, well, what do we do with this guy? People say, hey, turn him heel. I'm like, no, I don't think him being face or being heel is the problem. It's the fact that he's on top and he sucks at being at the top.
Oh, he sucks. He's on the bottom. He sucks.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, I see what you're saying completely, but they don't know what to do. For him to even use that line, I go, well, what did that line accomplish? What does it say?
Well, I think the big deal with Roman is they boo him, so it's like you're not letting him be the good guy. You're not letting him be face. But with him saying that, it shows that, love and hate equates to obsession. So you boo him all the time. You're obsessed, like they've said all the time, with booing him. So you're showing him just as much favoritism as you would the people you love. You're giving him everything.
So answer me this, man. What is a Roman Reigns feud? Is his feud with an opponent an actual person that wants to either beat him or like take the belt from him? Oh, it's a crowd, because I don't want to watch. Seriously. And that's why I probably get even more frustrated with this.
We've seen Cena get this kind of reaction for years, and that's kind of what it was. It was like, especially with the U.S., they finally realized what it was with the U.S. challenge thing. It's like you're not going against... it's not one against one. It's like the whole idea of what he represents versus your favorite guy,
But here's the thing about Cena. What's great about Cena is the guy knows how to he knows how to move a crowd with his voice.
But that took a while. I don't think he was as good. Well, he's not as good as he.
But he hadn't always been hated though. He hadn't always been hated.
Yeah, I think that's the main difference. He started out loved. That the fans had already picked him, and then they got tired of him.
Yeah, because
Reigns was constantly being compared to Ambrose and constantly being compared to Rollins, which those are the guys they want, and those are the guys who are good and ready for it. I think. But it's just a constant reminder that that's not them. So I think he's got that to play with.
Cena would get out in front of the crowd, and he would have them booing the shit out of him. And then by the end of the fucking promo,
but
he
when
would
they
be
first
cheering.
started booing him, he would ignore it.
But I guess the point I'm making is this: he had an opponent. His opponent was never the crowd. Oh my God, is that tomorrow? His opponent was never the crowd. His opponent was whoever was put in front of him, either for like a one-on-one match or for the belt. And what's happening with Roman Reigns is what's getting frustrating is that like we're always having this conversation about how we feel about him as a guy, but not about who he's going up against and his in-ring ability, you know, or this not even in-ring ability, but just a storyline of him having friction with someone.
Sure.
And it gets old after a while. This is getting a very, very old. So now it's like,
well, I mean, maybe there's a promo battle happening with him and AJ. I mean, they don't really look like it in anything, but we'll get to it. What were you?
Well, the match itself, it was they set up a number one contenders.
Well, Renee was interviewing them all throughout the show, but then, like I've mentioned before, Zayn gets taken out by Owens, so Zayn's not in the match. So they call, Jericho, AJ, and Kevin Owens come out, but then who's the fourth guy? Ends up being Cesaro, dressed up like the transporter, like in the suit and the glasses and everything. Big pop.
Then he turns into a fucking candy stripe.
Yeah, rips it all off.
Chippendale. Like that was really dancing bear type shit going on.
Dude,
here.
it was ridiculous.
It was great though.
Yeah. I mean, it's Cesaro coming up, so he could have came out on a unicorn coming down from the crowd or a big box of cereal. He was that over.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and it's funny too because it was the last person I expected as well. To be that fourth person.
I guess I was on Twitter earlier the week, and someone took a picture of him. He was like, "Oh, look who's on my plane!" So like, I kind of knew he was there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if that random thing didn't just show up, I would have never guessed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was happy to see him back, but I was like, man, I wish that's T.O. Polk, by the way. That's Terrence.
Hey.
NXT show tomorrow. He invited me to that.
Of course.
So, are you going to that?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I just hate that he was thrown into this clusterfuck of a storyline. I want him as far away from Roman Reigns right now as possible. I want him as far away from Kevin Owens as possible. I want him as far away from AJ Styles as possible. You know what? Just like, don't put him in a spot where everyone else are up and coming and he's returning. And he goes in, he's basically back in the position where he was before he left. Just a good hand.
Who?
Cesaro. That's all it was, because he didn't get a number one contendership. Why would you bring him back as red hot or people waiting for him to come back and not put him in a spot where he's ascending? He looks like he left, came back, and he's in the same spot. A good hand. And like some big spots, and then someone else leaves with the opportunity.
Well, I mean, and the match was great. I mean, if you go back and watch it, if you haven't seen it or if you fell asleep or something, it's worth going back and watching. But I would say, I mean, if you didn't know, AJ wins with the Styles Clash, so it's going to be Roman Reigns and AJ Styles. And how interesting that match is, I think it's good just how Corbin and Aries was and just how Corbin and Ziggler are. It's going to be a guy who knows how to work a bigger guy, who's worked guys like Abyss and worked guys, like, Booker T and all these bigger guys in TNA over the years. He knows how to work this match to make Reigns look as good as possible. I think this is going to be a better match than the match of Mania. It might be. I'm interested in this match, but with that said, I would have given it to Jericho because Jericho has the heat. He is a veteran, and he could it's worth something to beat Hunter and then to beat Jericho. So people, even though you might hate Reigns, would be like, well, that is kind of those are two notable wins right there. They have to give it to him.
When he came out first, I was like, yes, this is the right direction to go in.
Sure, and then I would say, yeah, if you're going to call up Cesaro and not have Sami Zayn there, yeah, not giving it to Cesaro is kind of odd, but I mean, who's the prize fighter who just lost the IC title, who we know these guys would make a good match. We've seen it every time they get to touch that it's good. Kevin Owens versus Reigns. AJ Styles is an interesting pick, but in very many ways, it's my last pick out of the four. because of all these things. I think that you could have gotten more with Kevin Owens. You could have gotten more with Chris Jericho. I think they both lack a little something on the mic, but I think it's gonna
they lack a lot. On
well, I think
mic.
AJ can hold his. I think he doesn't get enough credit, which he's not good, but he gets played as bad when he's not
well,
bad.
because
he's
has
okay.
to write his own promos in the indies. He has writers for him now, so that he could get by reading something. But he's an ROH, he's in New Japan. He has to talk. He has to basically come up with his own material to put himself over. But he doesn't have. Okay, I think he'll probably go up a level knowing that he has the crutch of someone writing the promos for him. Sure. Now it's just a matter of memory and delivery.
I think, but with that said, I think choosing between these four, you're not going to have a bad match against any opponent. And I think every year we kind of complain that it's the same thing in Mania, but at least the main event is going to be something different. AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns.
Well, AJ Styles is a face. AJ Styles is a bona fide face in this whole thing. He went in bona fide face against Jericho. Now he's bona fide face against Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is bona fide face. He's a face. He's company face. Now, why do you put these two together? I know why. Because by next fucking year, AJ Styles is going to be in the Battle Royal, right? They're setting him up to fail. Everyone has these maybe this is the moment where Roman turns heel and he really becomes heel. Hell no!
I think you're overlooking a big thing that could happen here. Two guys that were backstage at Raw, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, they moved to Orlando. I think the Bullet Club, this could get Roman Reigns. You bring the Bullet Club up and attack Roman.
You don't want nowhere near this guy. This guy is nuclear. He's nuclear fucking. He's just going to blow everything up. You think John Cena was bad? You think Nikki Bella was bad?
I'm saying if the Bullet Club come out, I mean fantasy booking of course, but it is AJ Styles. They did sign the Bullet Club. They did get the rights to the name and everything. If AJ Styles is in the main event, boom, the biggest storyline going into whatever the fuck you're going into would be the Bullet Club coming out attacking Reigns. The kids would hate that because their hero got jumped, and everyone who already boos Reigns would love it. I think it's the perfect thing to do if you're going to have AJ and Reigns. If you're going to have AJ and Reigns, this is how to do it. This is the perfect introduction to the Bullet Club, is to have him jump Reigns.
Because you're thinking they got this much stock into AJ Styles. They do not have that kind of stock into AJ Styles. I'm telling you right now.
But I think they believe in this Bullet Club thing. It's the only thing that's gotten over worldwide this big that they didn't own in the last decade. They want to own it. They want to bring it in and be like, hey, remember when the Bullet Club came in? And then it would overshadow everything that they did in Japan and in Ring of Honor.
No, my brother.
Then why did they already bought like rights to the names and they got these guys to come in? Why
to
would they
shelf that shit. To ruin it and shelf it.
No,
you heard about it's
coming out.
You know them. You listen to music, right? Music business do the same fucking thing. They get all the hot talent to keep them from getting getting their own pair, you know what I'm saying? They cut the foundation. They say, hey, we're going to throw all this money at you. We're going to put you in the studio. You're going to record an album. People love you in the underground. And then, boom. Oh, man, I'm on the same label as Beyonce. I'm on the same label as fucking Lady Gaga. I'm on the same level as fucking... So, what happens? We're going to focus on these young ladies here. We're going to take this album. We own it. We're going to put it on the shelf over here.
But you have,
and just good luck with your career.
I would say you have tons of things. You have,
Y'all think they give a shit about this indie stuff? Y'all think they give a
stuff,
fuck,
it's New
man.
Japan. It's the second biggest promotion.
It's indie compared to the WWE.
Everything's
indie compared to WWE.
They have Akuza money running through there.
You think they give a shit, man? Like, that's the thing. That's the thing with us, like, IWC. And it's like, if I wasn't as...
Wait. If they didn't care, then why would AJ be in the main title picture at all? At all. If they didn't care...
That don't mean shit. How many people have been in the title picture and where have they gone? Where have they ended up?
I'm just saying, okay, if Dolph... Okay, they're not...
Answer that.
How many people in history of the title? Hundreds. But what are you talking about? Where did they end up? Some of them ended up in movies. Some of them started in the indies, like a Daniel Bryan. I think this is a turnaround, and I think AJ Styles... Yeah, then they wouldn't have signed AJ Styles. They wouldn't...
Oh, man.
They wouldn't have signed him in the first place. They wouldn't have signed Doc Gallows, and they wouldn't have signed Carl Anderson if they weren't going to do this.
He's talent.
Yeah.
I don't see why not sign him, but if you're listening, and even if you like, that's the thing. WWE is going to do things their way. And I'm not sitting back going like, I hope they don't. That's silly. I want them to be in the best interest of me. As I watch, I devote hours upon hours of time to that product on top of being able to have these conversations with you. I'm telling you now. And it's something I completely see. They don't give a shit about AJ Styles. They can give a fuck.
Wait, what? How do they not?
They can give a fuck.
Styles? They put him in.
Whatever. You see it that way. I see it differently.
No, one-on-one match and WrestleMania, and then they give him the main event.
They give a fuck about the Bullet Club. They give a fuck about the Balor Club. They give a fuck about any of that stuff, man. You wait and see. They got their mainstays. They got their Randy Orton. They got their John Cena. They got their Roman Reigns. They got their Big Show. They got their Kane. Right? And I get it. Out with the old, in with the new.
But you don't think, I mean, Vince goes to the arenas and he sees more Bullet Club shirts than his actual product. He's going to say, what is that? I want those Bullet Club shirts.
No.
And that's what he's buying.
He's going to take that shirt and he's going to throw it in a closet. And he's, hey, here's a Cena Club shirt.
The start of that.
Here's a Roman Club shirt.
I mean, they wouldn't have invested as much. They wouldn't have invested much already if they were just going to bury it.
You own it to bury it.
Yeah.
They bought WCW.
Well, yeah, you own it, and you know what they did with it? They had their guys at least come out. So yeah, they have to bring them up to do that.
I'm glad you're so optimistic.
I mean,
I'm not being pessimistic.
Yes, you are definitely.
I'm not being pessimistic.
You totally are.
I'm being honest with myself.
They were backstage at Raw. They already bought them in. They wouldn't have done that.
If I'm going to sit back and believe that they're going to take on any and all that they did not create moving forward to make big stars, I get it. But nah, dog. That's not how WWE works, man.
The last year should show you that that's exactly what they're doing. That's what it's proven.
Then what's so different? That's what's so different than to say last year up to now.
Nakamura, I would say Daniel Bryan getting super over to where it transcended the industry, the yes thing that people still keep doing, and that the fact that he was an indie darling, the fact that you can make as much money on the indies as you can in the WWE, the fact that that's leaking out. It's true, you can. You totally can. AJ Styles is making just as much money on the indies as he is in the WWE.
I don't give a fuck about that.
But I'm just saying, so they want to kill that. They want to kill that thing. So how do you kill it? You have to breed them what they want. People want the Bullet Club. Nothing has worked for them. You also have to understand,
they see no money in that shit, man.
And you also have Doc Gallows, who's already been in the WWE. So like that's another thing. It's not like they're just bringing in an unknown guy. They're bringing in a guy that's already worked for them.
I'm already getting in front of it. I'm being honest with myself. I think they could give a fuck. I think they have their own vision for how they want to handle those guys. At Bullet, Balor, all that stuff, AJ, all well and good. And I hope it does. I hope they do. But I'm not gonna. Hey, one of the biggest things, us as the IWC or what have you, people do podcasts, people who analyze and critique the WWE, is that like we're always let down. One of the biggest bases of the podcast industry or like the internet talking community is the fact that we complain, we bitch and we moan and we complain because we don't get our way. We don't see things the way that they should be doing things, right? I mean, and I don't see it stopping. I don't see it stopping for a second because as soon as we start getting our way, and let's just say the Balor Club comes in, and let's say the Bullet Club comes in, a Bulletproof or what have you, the T-shirts here and there, we're still going to find holes into how the WWE is treating them, right?
I'm not arguing that, but I do think they're going to come up as a three-piece called the Bullet Club.
And then they're going to go to waste. And it's going to be fun while it lasted. It's going to be fun. We had hopes and dreams to see people that we root for, these underdogs, these guys coming up and getting this great opportunity to really showcase themselves and become big stars moving forward. There's already a plan, though. The WWE already has its plan. They've had their plan for years and years. These guys are hands. They're new hands. They're not going to be WWE's next big stars. And I would. You could take that to the bank.
I'm not saying that they would be the next big stars. Will I say they will be a part of this program? I'm going to give it a 60-40. I'll give it a 70-30. I think that I'm not saying the next big stars, I'm not saying what they do after that, but I do think that this is the perfect way to bring them in, which is what I started with, saying this would be a perfect way to bring them in. And I do think they're going to become a part of this. AJ Styles, I mean, they had him in a match at Mania, a singles match at Mania against the former champion. They're putting him up against their champion, their guy. The reason they're doing that is because he's
disposable.
Because he makes him look good. So it's a big deal to have someone who's already over and someone who can make anyone look good is an asset. Just like Daniel Bryan, they don't have Daniel anymore. They have AJ, who is just as good.
It's the same role. I think it's
the same role. It's about champion. It's
about who you're surrounded by, and you know what? They're gonna fucking suck the life out of AJ Styles to build up.
So what if he's surrounded by two giant men called the Bullet Club?
Then they're doomed.
Nah, man.
They're doomed to the Roman Reigns.
No, if anything,
Hurricane Reigns, they're doomed.
No, if anything, factions have shown that that's going to get someone over. The Shield, the Wyatts, the New Day. I mean, if anything, the Social Outcasts. If anything, factions are super fucking over. It's the perfect time to bring them up. They bought the rights. They bought the guys. Why the fuck wouldn't you bring it up?
Hey, I mean, you're passionate, man. You're super passionate, and I'm not playing devil's advocate. I'm being brutally honest. They could give a fuck. They never have.
You're not being honest because you don't know if they could give a fuck. You don't know them, man.
Don't call me out like that. I'm not. I'm just saying, man. I see it. They have their plan.
They do, yeah. And think about it. Styles debuts at Royal Rumble, has a big match at Mania, and now has a world title match. They already signed his buddies. Why wouldn't they bring them out together?
They're gonna ruin him. They're gonna completely ruin him.
Well, I mean, and you said a big thing about the internet wrestling community is that we complain, but don't complain ahead of time. Just have hope, and then therefore you have a little bit of hope until you get let down.
I have a podcast to express my thoughts and feelings. I'm not being negative. I'm not being pessimistic. I have my opinion. And
it can be negative. Your opinion can be negative.
And my opinion can be proved wrong.
But it can also be negative. You said you're not negative.
So
you have
fucking what?
Well, then you can be both, man. You're not saying you're not negative by having an opinion.
All they can do is prove me wrong.
That's
and
true.
I'll leave it at that.
That's true.
The way you feel about it is the way you feel about it. I'm not telling you to feel different. I'm not telling you you're wrong for feeling the way you do.
Sure.
I'm not wrong for feeling the way that I do. This is what's fun about doing this. We throw ideas out, we bounce them back and forth, and then we look at the fucking product and we come back and we make a report on it. That's what's great about this. I feel that the WWE, just like any other new hot crazy thing that they've brought up, okay, is a little more fast and furious because the wrestling bubble is getting bigger and the positions are becoming available. NXT, they're gonna I almost feel like they're gonna oversaturate that motherfucker to a point. There could be a diminishing return because there's so much great talent, but not. When you look at like an Olympic basketball team, right? Let's just say the Dream Team, all Hall of Famers. There's still only one ball. You know what I mean? Like you can get fucking Durant on the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson, Durant, fucking Trey Green, Curry. It's still just one ball. The Heat, Wade, LeBron, Bosh. It's still one ball to be held. So I don't care about how many guys are coming up and can possibly make a difference. There's one ball. And that ball is going to go to whoever the WWE decides they want to hand it to. Yeah, they can look good and they can win games. But there's one guy getting the endorsement. There's one guy getting the commercials. There's one guy talking to the fucking person at the end of the game. So it's not a matter of me being pessimistic or just giving my opinion.
Or you brought that into the fold. No one said you were pessimistic or negative. You just kept saying that, and now you're defending it.
I know, no, because it seems. Because here's the thing: whenever I talk about things like this, and maybe you don't agree, you get wild-eyed, you get really intense. So that's a dead giveaway just for your mannerism that you completely, are bothered by the opinion. And I just want to reassure you that I'm not saying this to get your goat. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm saying that I would ask you a question and then you would just repeat the thing you said before the question, which shows that you're not really even thinking about what I'm saying. When I said they bought the rights to the name, why wouldn't you use that name, at least for one spot? I mean, yeah, Wade Barrett had his run as Nexus, and he had his T-shirt. AJ Styles could have his run with Baylor, and that went nowhere. I'm not saying where it's going to go, but I'm saying that, my initial point was it would be great for this. It would be the perfect time to bring him up. And two, they got him. They moved to Orlando. They fucking, got the 3 guys, the big deal. These guys are already over in the company. Luke Gallows has already worked for him, did great in a nothing position Festus, and now everyone loves that character. Carl Anderson, former world champion in Japan with the head NXT trainer. So they have all the names. Finn Balor loves them, so they have all the names to push them right up. And you can already tell that they're setting up to do big things with AJ. A lot of people are complaining about it, but if you look at it, I think your expectations are a little too high. I mean, they're doing everything with him.
No, I'm sitting back and waiting to be proved wrong. That's all.
Me too. I'm sitting back and waiting for you to be proven wrong too.
Someone has to. And that is episode
89?
86
Hell yeah.
of the Peter Jake Talks Wrasslin podcast. If you've gotten this far, this is I think our longest one ever. It's going to suck having to break down this video. God, it's going to take forever. Quick plugs, PJTW Central, Ellen Japanese. I'll see you for the return of Peter Talks SmackDown. And I'm not sure. What is anything else I'm gonna do? No. Well, it looks like I'm going to NXT Charlotte. I gotta get back to Terrence. And
you heard at the beginning, folks. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys. Watch out. I'm exhausted. Watch out.
Yeah, this is a long one. This is just like Mania.
Man, it's intense too. Watch out for those foreign objects.